Welcome to Flat Earth Debate, Uncut and After Show. I'm your host Nathan Oakley, and if you are new to this channel, or you've not done so already, then be sure to subscribe, hit the bell notification icon and join button if you'd like to become a Nathan Oakley 1980 channel member and keep up to date with the Flat Earth Debate. If you would like to support the channel, there is a super chat that runs alongside each of these shows while they premiere, and there's also a coffee, Patreon, crypto and thanks button in the info box below the video. Speaking of Patrons, I'm going to do a quick shout out to all of you who do support me on Patreon. So, a massive shout of thanks and appreciation to Smith Tools and Purchase, Level Plain Poem, Amish, Vitali Z, Colton James, BG, Survive the Spin, FE Patriot on the Level, Thomas van der Zander, Gary Hughes, Measured Flat, Chris Wouters, Sea Level Cultist, Mitch Kennedy, Rod, The Name's Burley, Twad Wazzle, Jason Hornsby, Christoph Fournier, Flat Earth Travolta, JMelds24, Unimento, M, Iron26, Endless, Goldie McKinnon, Retro Bill, Michael Kahn, John Kays, Patrick Gunnels, Banter, Mel B. Styles, Hairy Blade, Mobile Max 777, Rob W, Del West Watson, Unbelievable Productions, Blue Ridge Ranger, Abraham Mohammed, Skeptic 936, Texas Mike, Charian Cat, David Wayne Foster, and Dank. So another massive thank you to all of you for supporting me on Patreon. Now I'll hand across to whoever is in Discord and Google so you can enjoy their dulcet tones while I set up for today's live show.
Doesn't fly with me. Like, I never subbed to his channel, never left a single comment on his channel, never watched a single video of his. Just some feeling, dude, like something's wrong with this guy. No thanks. You know? At the same time, the realness of the no bullshit in this place is what drew me here. That's just the way it is, man. Everybody gets called out here. Even our own people. They fuck up, they say something stupid, get called out, man. Let's get down to the bottom of the things. Oh, sorry. Good morning, Nathan.
Good morning.
What's good? What's good, man?
What's good? Got a new desk. Very good. Very pleased.
Computer desk?
No, audio interface. So not desk as in something you put things on, but more like something you put things in and out of.
Nice. Like a studio desk.
Yeah, exactly.
Nice.
Very pleased.
Did you get that new part for your computer or whatever you needed?
That's what I bought. So, not knowing a great deal about modern interfaces, I just bought one that was relatively new, relatively well reviewed, and was, okay with it. And then from the day I got it till now, I was chasing down some stupid crackly sounds that I couldn't figure out where they were coming from. And they were coming from the audio interface, picking up on radio frequency interference or whatever you call it, RFI, EMI, whatever. Either way, it was annoying. Now, hopefully, this has resolved that problem. I don't know if this is the first time I've used it, so do I sound okay?
Yeah, sounds perfect, man.
Excellent. Definitely. That's what I want to hear. I sound perfect.
I gotta say, as always, because like 99.9% of the time, you sound great.
Yeah. Well, most of the time I am sounding great because I've overcome that problem. Once I figured out what it was, I just grabbed the interface and yanked it out. I gave myself an extra meter of extension on the data and XLR cable and just pulled it into the middle of the room, so it's nowhere near anything to get any interference from. But that's extremely irritating. It's just something else to do when you're setting up the show. It's not enough that I have to pull the lights and the camera and the monitor and my mic and everything else out. Having to add the interface and the stream deck, and it's just another thing to get out, isn't it? Anymore? Hopefully not anymore.
Nice. Glad it's all fixed, man.
Well, we'll see. If I'll listen back to this recording after the fact, and if there's no distortion in it, I'll know it's fixed. Which I'm pretty sure it will be. I can't see any reason why this particular interface, which is very well reviewed and old, as in it's been out for a while, so people would be familiar if it had issues. Hopefully not.
Hopefully, and no more equipment talk. Let's move on.
No more equipment talk. I want to talk all about it. It's all I want to talk about.
I'm sure.
Yeah, it's a DAC and ADC. So analog to digital converter and digital to analog converter. However, I don't like that particular. I like analog equipment, right? Analog preamps, yeah, class A, B amplifiers, things like that, right? More old-fashioned stuff to me sounds better than modern stuff. So I don't necessarily want it to be more digital. I want it to be more analog, and it is. It's from an old-fashioned desk manufacturer, SSL. It's even got a little button on it from way back when stuff was recorded on their desks that are massive and cost tens, if not hundreds of thousands of pounds. They have a certain sound to them. They're old 4000 series desks. So they've got a little button on it that you can literally add an extra little analog circuit into the path of the microphone to make it sound like an old-fashioned analog desk. And
right. It seems like most people that understand the sound like analog better than digital.
You can't hear things in digital. Digital's ones and zeros. At some point, it has to become analog. I'm just saying that there's two different ways of doing it. Once it's a physical analog sine wave, or lots of them, traveling along wires, you can manipulate it in the analog domain. Things like adjusting volume, just something as basic as that. For QE, he has to do it in the digital domain, so his gain control's on the computer. Irritating. I want a physical knob that I can twiddle. That's what I want.
So you look like a DJ when you run the show, right? You're always turning the knobs, pressing the buttons.
Yes and no. So yes, the desk looks more like what you'd see on a DJ's desk, which is to say that that's like more professional equipment tends to be, with those sorts of switches and dials on them, right? As opposed to consumer grade stuff, which doesn't. But yeah, it's got. I just don't want to. I'm not mixing on the fly. I get everything leveled up, and then I never want to touch it ever again. But obviously, it has to be on the desk, so it's nice that it looks cool.
And lights.
It's got level meters to tell me how loud the mic is. So this morning I was like, they're a bit small, so I had to get my eldest daughter. I'm like, is that red light turning on? I hitting 0 dB. She's like, yeah. So I turn it down a bit. Is it hitting it now? When I yell down the microphone, she goes, yeah. Turn it down a little bit more. Is it hitting the red now? Not yet, which means no. And then I shouted a bit louder. Yes, it does make the red go on. One last touch, and that's it. Now I'll never, ever touch that dial again. But for the 35 seconds that I was adjusting the gain, it felt ace.
You're a fiddler, Nathan.
Thank you know
you're going to touch
end of
it
that
again.
Sentence, Neil. Very important that you told me I was a fiddler through the very end of that sentence. Thank you so much.
You're very welcome.
Just try the end of that sentence one more time. So for the 35 seconds that I am fiddling with those knobs and dials, it's nice that they feel like proper professional equipment like I trained on in college. Done. I'll never touch the thing again. It's just going to sit there looking pretty.
Well, I got to take it back because the only reason you were fiddling the last time was because that computer was freaking junk.
Which one?
The one where you were constantly fiddling with it.
Well, it's the same computer. It's just had 90% of the internals changed. So it's had a new motherboard, a new processor, new RAM, and a new graphics card. That's basically... Oh, yeah, and a new hard drive, like the main SSD. In essence, it is a completely different computer to the one that was given to me, yes. The only thing that remains is the case and the power supply, because all the fans got changed as well.
That's like saying you got a Camaro shell, but everything in it is Corvette. So it's really a Corvette in a Camaro shell.
Yeah. Well, any PC is a bit like that, because you can just buy a case and then you can keep the case forever, and whatever's internal just changes with time. This, on the other hand, is so bespoke that to change the graphics card required me contacting the case manufacturer to order a new block for the graphics card to actually sit on. Well, now, the latest generation of graphics cards have just come out, and they're on the same die, if you will, the same manufacturing process. So they're not really any more efficient. In other words, the chip size that I've bought is about the right size for the case to handle cooling it. And the newer versions aren't any more efficient. They're the same chips, if you will. They're more advanced because the time's progressed and they've presumably tinkered with them. so you'll get a bit more out of them. But I'm in no position to want or need to change anything in it now, and it works fine. Occasionally games are a little bit twitchy, but nothing that's going to interfere with the show. Yeah, very happy. And I won't be, hopefully, when I listen back to this recording, I won't find that there's any distortion on it. There is a button that I can press, safe mode it's called in this particular interface's software, that if there's an issue with heavy loads on your CPU, it does say that could cause pops and crackles. And you're like, okay, well, at least I know there's a button to press if I do encounter that. But it seems highly unlikely, given that this computer is bang up to date, it's bang up to date. All the chips in it are modern and as fast as they can possibly be. And I don't see why a desk that came out in 2021 would find that a 4-year more modern top of the range computer would struggle with resources. I don't think so. So I can only imagine that it would be absolutely perfect from this day forth. Better bleeding as be.
Nice. Anyway, I got to apologize to you. I got you all excited the other day, and somebody in chat said it wasn't $500, it was 500 rubies. And I looked it up, and it's only $5.
Yeah.
I would be so annoyed if somebody told me I had $500 and I looked and it was $5.
No,
Sorry about that.
It was 500 Canadian dollars. It was about £250 actually, Neil.
Oh, great. Excellent. I felt terrible though when the guy said that, because I looked it up and it was like $5.72.
No, somebody.
Anyway, I'm glad to hear that.
500 Canadian, which is so weird because it was me getting annoyed with people calling me a child abuser.
Yes, that's the guy. Yep.
Yeah. So last week, all the bits and bobs from my daughter's microphone came. So what started off with me thinking, I could make good use of the old interface by just buying a cheap microphone, which ended up with me spending about $100 on a stand and a microphone and a shock mount and a pop filter and a bit of wire, and before you know it, you've spent $100. You're like, bloody hell. Jeez, didn't actually intend to do that. But there we go. She's now got a nice setup, and she did her first proper video, if you like, on Saturday. Up on our Gamer Nor channel, which she's very keen to do. Practice run before she can have her own proper channel, but she can't really set one up. She can't set one up at all till she's.
Yeah, I gave her a like on the last video posted. Where did you post? Did you post this one or?
Yeah, I put it. It probably won't put it in your subscription feed because it's YouTube Kids. So
Yeah, I'll give her a like for sure, man. Every time it comes out.
But she's keen to. I said, "Are you going to delete the first one because it was horrendous, like using the laptop mic?" And she's like, "No, I want to show my progression as a YouTuber." I'm like, okay,
I was
Nice.
just gonna say that. That's great thinking, bro. Yeah. Yes, absolutely.
Yeah. I don't think any worries about her. She's on it.
Yeah, man, she is. She's all over it. I came in after she'd started a broadcast. And I'm like, "That's about 8 minutes. Did you want to end there?" She shook her head at me as if to say, "Get out." Didn't even respond to me. Okay, fair enough.
Does anybody know what's going on with this TikTok in America?
It's closed.
It don't
hasn't it?
affect you in UK, right?
It's just closed. You just can't get access to it anymore, can you not?
No, but Trump said once he gets in. Well, today he's getting in, right? Today's the inauguration. It's like I feel like they're doing it. They're throwing everything at him to make it the hardest for him to sit in office and straighten things out. But not to get into politics, but that's the way they are.
Yeah, did you hear about the drones above the White House, Neil?
Haven't heard about it.
Drones above the White House, bro, and supposedly they don't know what it is and who it is. Come on.
Shoot
The
'em.
Chinese
Why don't they
drones
just
from
shoot them?
Mars.
Why aren't they just shooting them? If they're above the White House, shoot them out of the air. What's the problem? I don't get it.
Well, that's what I'm saying. What is the problem? Like they're it's all BS, man. Come on.
Either they're owned by them, in which case, they're patrolling their own turf with their own drones and just not telling anybody. Alternatively, they should be shooting them out of the air. They're not theirs. It doesn't matter if they're civilian or foreign.
Well, that's the bullshit about it, bro. Supposedly nobody knows what it is. Come on, man. Like, really?
Yeah.
Who can believe that?
Don't worry about it then. They'd be shooting them out of the air if they were.
I'm laughing about it, man.
Yeah. They're not going to allow somebody to just zoom around the White House. They'd just shoot it out of the air if they didn't know what it was.
Like you heard about the Jersey drones too, right?
Yeah,
Size of the car
so,
drones, like they've been appearing nightly. Come on, man. And they're
I
claiming they
haven't
don't
seen
know.
any footage of that yet.
I've seen loads
A
of
what?
footage.
A
I've seen
drone?
people zooming in on the actual drones themselves when they've been static to get a really good view of them. They're monstrously big. I was quite surprised because obviously you see all these little dots in the distance with some of the footage. You're like, oh, they're just little drones. No, they're not. They're enormous. They're like about the size of a
I
freaking
thought they were
car.
small.
They're huge.
Now, Nathan, imagine this happening every single night. People are filming it, everybody's filming it, and government coming out every night saying they don't know who's doing it and what it is. And you're talking about United States Defense Force, Air Force, all this highest technology, right? How embarrassing is this?
Not
If it's true, but it can't be true.
porn used on their own people. That's all that is.
Yep.
They're being you. Their people being your people, if you will.
It's Putin.
No, that's.
I didn't realize they were so large. I thought they were just like regular little drones flying around. I gotta go look at them now.
Car-sized drones, bro.
No, these are fairly substantial things. They're not little toys that cost $50 or probably $5 to manufacture to sell to us for 150 bucks. No, that is not what these are. These are the size of, at the very least, a very large motorbike or something that sort of heft. You know what I mean? They're big. They look heavy. They make a lot of noise. They're just big drones. We've all been softened up to it, right? We've all watched Terminator, Rise of the Machines.
Yep, as Hollywood goes.
Yeah.
Down the road goes the world.
Soften us all up to it.
I don't know. Trump said he said in a speech the other day, I just saw in passing, that they know, like the government knows what the ones in New Jersey are. He's confused why the current administration hasn't told anybody yet. But he said when he gets in, it'll be like one of the first or second things he does, apparently. I didn't realize they were so big, though. I thought they were just little drones.
Yeah,
No,
just
they
like
were
he's
all
gonna
over the
drain the swamp,
place.
right?
Huh?
Just like he's gonna drain the swamp and all these
Yeah.
other empty promises, bro. Come on, man.
Listen, Nathan said it right years ago. They're all reading from the same script. It's a play, and they're leading actors in it. All on the same team called Team the World.
Team the World. Is that what you said? Team the World.
Yeah, it's the whole team, and that's the world.
They all sit at the same desk, don't they? What's up, Vaxie?
Yeah.
Hold on. Go on, Vaxie.
Oh, no, I was just singing Heal the World by Michael Jackson.
Make it a better place.
Team the world.
What are we covering today, then?
I was about to ask.
That was the first thing I asked, man. I don't know. Doesn't seem to be any new videos out.
Listen, you gotta stop ruining the vibe. All right? You just remember
On
that.
computers?
Don't kill the vibe.
I'm going to do a quick...
Oh, okay. Yeah.
I'm going to kill in the vibe. I haven't actually had an opportunity to listen to my daughter's stream on the big rig, as in the studio, if you will. Well, because it's normally a lounge without all the stuff set up. So yesterday I was like, oh, shall I just turn on all the stuff to monitor it? But now it's actually uploaded and I can just listen to it. If you'll bear with me, just so I can just have a listen to see if it sounds okay.
Build my base. I think no. Change my mind. No, change it again. Be in my house. I service to you. Yes. I was super bad all the time. Now. Psst. 1, 2,
Talking very much.
3, 4, 5. Iron sword, iron nuggets, iron arm. Minecraft! I already changed background. It'd be 2 episodes and I just changed. I made this new word called YT, stands for YouTube. And so I know which word I should do on my Minecraft things series, yes.
Yeah, that sounds pretty good. Worth $100.
This freaks me out hearing an English accent on a little child.
What?
Because it makes Americans sound so dumb. How are you?
Good morning, everyone.
Pretty good. Pleased to be here. Fresh week, fresh start. All very exciting. Just definitely has seemed to have settled. He's got their mic wide open. Chocolate immediately ruining the beginning of the live stream, of course. Hello, Chocolate.
Just wanted to say good morning.
Mumble. Very good to have you, I'm sure. So, the dust seems to have settled on the final experiment. Less and less videos coming out, people showing an interest. What has it been? About a month? Has it been a month yet? What was it, the 20th, 21st? When was the solstice? Anybody know? When was TFE? Couldn't be any less warmed up, really,
I
could
thought
you?
it was the 21st.
What, wasn't it just before Christmas?
Yeah, but what day?
That's how I remember it.
Okay, well, it's about a month, and that's about how long it's lasted. I anticipated 3 to 6 months before the dust settled, so I thought we'd be inundated with this crap. Now, don't get me wrong, there are still people out there who waited as videographers for the seeming initial dust to settle before they've released their videos. So I saw Eli made a comment saying, Professor Dave Explains YouTube channels covered everybody in his video except for you. Now, my response to Eli, if he were to be listening, would be, well, yeah, of course. TFE is for Globers. It's for their cope levels to increase. We are the facilitation of that cope. That is to say, look how wrong flat earthers are, feel better about being a Glober. That's the purpose of it. Now, obviously, there's certain flat earthers that are subject to that being used as a canvas to paint stupidity on is, as I say, first and foremost for globe cope, but very irritating to them, just not us. It's just the dust settled quicker than I expected. So, you know, Flat Earth Banjo, for example, went hard and fast for the whole solid last month on TFE, and he did a video yesterday that was completely unrelated, which is good to see. And other than the Globers who have now, like I say, seen what all the responses have been and then put their ha-ha, flat earthers can't cope with the 24-hour sun videos out after the fact. But I think that's pretty much it. Nobody from mainstream's really gone anything whole hog or hard with it since it came out, unless anybody can correct me on that. The only one I covered was Cox on the BBC, and I believe the New York Times had a pseudoscience pundit, commenter, whatever, talking about it in there. That was about it.
Just that Brian Cox video you covered a few weeks ago. I don't know if you. I think that was AI, man. I don't think that was Brian Cox.
No, it was me doing the AI reading of an article that was published. So I've just done it when I was out and about. So I didn't have my studio set up to do the voiceover and read it myself. So I just got AI to read it. But it's just an article that's being read out about Cox.
Oh, okay.
See,
Okay.
Nathan, here's the thing. Jaren's doing a great job. They don't have to do anything. They're going to wait a little while because they got Jaren out there talking about the globe and how it can only be a globe, and everybody else that don't see, because the sun is 24 hours, that flat earth is impossible, then they're just stupid and they're not truthers. So they got Jaren out there doing the job, and you're going to hear about it in the media soon.
That's kind of fair enough. I mean, like I say, Jaren being out there saying, oh, right, I'm not a flat earther anymore, is enough for globers to go, oh, look, you see, even the flat earthers themselves, the biggest one of all, is jumping ship. So I don't even need to give this any consideration. Even the flat earthers themselves know that there can't be a flat earth. You're like, okay, well, like I say, that's been positioned for one group of individuals, and it's not us. It's not for us. TFE was never for us, was it?
No, but what they're doing is they're gonna make they're already done it, but now they're gonna really have the what's that? The proof that this is a cult. Now this has been proven. It's out there. The biggest flat earther has come to his senses. Now everybody that's just hanging on is just in a cult, and that's what they want to portray us as.
You say that, and obviously there's got to be an impression created amongst the general populace that flat Earth is on the decline, big flat earthers are jumping ship for, as I keep saying, globe cope. But in reality, I don't think that's the case. In terms of, as much as it does frustrate me, because I just spin past them now, the amount of doom scrolling I do past flat earthers with crappy old 2015 arguments. I came to flat Earth because of the firmament and the ice wall, or I came to flat Earth because they can't measure curvature, or I came to flat Earth because look how much fakery there is at NASA. All these kind of bullshit conspiratard paths to flat Earth that you hear people on TikTok and, like I say, in the YouTube shorts babbling about. It's irritating to me. But what it does tell me is that there's more and more of them, right? I say them, I should say us. It just kind of leaves me feeling a bit icky if I say us. But there's more and more of us if you want to perceive the need to stem the flow of more and more flat earthers coming to the subject. Now, like I say, it's icky because they're believers. Go ahead, whoever's opened their mic. Ranger, was it? Chocolate, go ahead.
Yeah, it's me. Can you hear me?
Just about.
Can you hear me okay? I was going to say, it seems like we really have gone full circle with science, because funny enough, Sleeping Warrior posted a video, I think it was by Conspiracy Catz, and the title of the video, let me go see it, so I could. The title of the video is Flat Earthers Finally Gave Up on Science Completely. This is by Conspiracy Catz, and the thumbnail is pointing at Jaren, saying this flat earther saw 24-hour sun in Antarctica, and the flat Earth community didn't care. He's trying to equivocate that for science, and that's where he's going with it. Isn't that funny?
Well, Catz is a science teacher, and he sat through us being schooled by Quantum Eraser on the scientific method, what it's for, how it's used. He left as a result of natural law, but he's a science teacher. So for him to seek cope through the masses telling him, yeah, that's Conspiracy Catz seeking cope. Like I say, he's their target audience. Again, it doesn't surprise me, the fact that he's willing to decry his own knowledge and understanding of science just for cope. Because he ain't going to be talking about us, is he? Same with, like I say, Professor Dave explains, according to Eli, like he's not covering us, Chocolate. Why not? Because it's very difficult to strawman us. Shout out to Quantum Eraser, right? When TFE just happened and the comments were flowing in, asking where the guns were and things like that, right? He pointed out it's very difficult to strawman us collectively because of housekeeping. Shout out to Anthony Riley. It's the reason this is in the prevalence of my mind, if you mentioned him. He was the one that came up with the suggestion in the first place. Very, very, very critical to now when it comes to things like TFE. You've been saying for 8 years that there'll be guns stopping people getting to Antarctica. No, we haven't. We've been asking housekeeping questions consistently day in, day out. So, if you want to say these are the talking points that you've been telling people, and look how wrong we proved you, no, that's a comment you dug up from some random video I'd left a comment on 8 years ago. What we actually talk about day in, day out is any scientific evidence of gravity any single viable hypothesis from any of the fields of astronomy, cosmology, or astrophysics. So, as I keep pointing out with Duffy, what was the first thing that we asked Duffy, me personally, asked Duffy for when he left a comment on my video? What's your hypothesis, Duffy? So yeah, it doesn't surprise me that Catz is prepared to decry the methodology that would offer any empiricism in favour of saying, Jaren saw a 24-hour sun and the flat earthers want to ignore it. Well, we don't want to ignore it. Okay, Catz. Yeah, 24-hour sun, cool. And... what's that? We are ignoring it? Definitely not. More than happy to stand shoulder to shoulder with you, watching YouTube videos of that sun twirling round. No worries. And... you gonna tell me what that means? Off you go. Go ahead.
It's funny though that this comes from the same side that originally came out at the gate with science proves every claim that we make, right? Until we asked them to provide that science. All of a sudden, science proves things more. Now we've come full circle to now science proves that we live on the ball because of this so-called experiment.
Yeah, and for the next...
look how the circle is.
Well, that's for the
Isn't it great?
fifth wave globe believers that are falling down the hill of flat earthism. They need this cope. The new flatties are the ones getting poked fun at. The old flatties that were seemingly in charge, like Jaren, are taking the fall. They're all falling on their swords, right? While the people around people like Jaren prop up the conspiratard nature or prop up Jaren's conclusions about, well, it's all real and none of your conspiratardy idiots that are saying it's all fake could possibly be taken seriously, you know, decrying their own, leaning into the narrative that's being painted with science and affirming the consequent fallacies. Now, what does that mean long term for the people that have sought cope from this? We're still here, saying the same thing we've always said. It makes absolutely no difference. That's why Toon was screaming my name into the snow. He wants this to mean I have to disappear. And it means nothing to us. Absolutely nothing. So when they see us still saying the same things every day, well, where's your scientific evidence? You think that was an experiment? I asked Duffy for a hypothesis, and he confirmed his own fraud and said, oh, well, you can call it an expedition if you want. Yeah, you're a fraud. It's not science. The expedition achieved nothing unless you want to make a conclusion, and we'll pull apart the fallacious reasoning that you've employed to assert antipodal positioning with it. Oh, if I assume I'm on the bottom of a ball when I watch this sun go round and round. No. We won't be assuming that we've travelled down when we can prove that we travelled out with respect to two-dimensional directionality, south in this instance. And we can show that the plane that you travelled on travelled with respect to a plane, with pitch data. Or that the maps that you used to negotiate your way around the territory were made with flat Earth elevation angles to stars. Everything that you utilised and every tool that got you there used a flat Earth. And when you got there, you started measuring that sun, didn't you? You measured it with respect to a flat plane. What do I give a crap about you assuming that you're on the bottom of a ball beyond your fallacious reasoning and lies about it being science if you're a science teacher named Conspiracy Catz? Have you toddled back for some cope? Yeah, we're still here, Catz, aren't we? Pointing out how fallacious it is, pointing out our lack of science. That's what we'll still be doing. Who's keep coming off mute? Go on, whoever it is.
I'm sorry, man.
Well, you've got your horrendous mic, so every time you open your mic, it's not that you're interrupting, but you are. It's like as soon as you open your mic, you're going, yeah, because you're just causing audio chaos with noise. So it might as well be you just talking straight through the top of me, like now.
Really? That's what
Yeah.
the mic sounds like?
Yeah.
Yeah, it sounds horrible. I gotta admit that.
As soon as you open your mic, you might as well be talking because you're just causing chaos. Anyway, go on, Chocolate. What did you want to add? Because you obviously wanted to add something. Don't stand on ceremony.
I was going to say all that is wrong. There are no guns, so shut your channel. Shut your.
That's what I was gonna add too, and that's something you're right, Nathan, because that's all I want. Shut your channel. That's what it's all about.
Yeah. And when that fails, call me a child abuser. That's what they've got. Yeah, we're still here. We're still telling you that you haven't got any science and that Duffy's a fraud and what we can call it an expedition. No, we'll call you a fraud. That's what we'll call you. When we're talking about the topic as opposed to you, the man, in terms of your past endeavours and your past frauds. No, we won't do that. I mean, it's a low blow. This topic and its abuse of the scientific vernacular in the form of experiment is fraud. Well, you can
I'll
call it
tell
so.
you what.
Again, Neil.
I'll
No,
tell
go
you
ahead.
what. It's having a. What they're doing is they're letting us know how important this channel is. This FED is. This has to be shut down. You are a child abuser. People have to see this because this channel is the only one that we got to worry about.
Well, hopefully people have realised that in the small amount of time between TFE bringing a few extra people by our way. And now, if you're a new user of this particular facility, then share it with other people. Not going to be long before the book comes out. I am so freaking excited.
Can't wait. And when I say you, I mean QE. That's obvious. That's lumped right in. Without QE, we're not even here. The way we are.
Speaking of which, he's dragged out the publication of this book by almost an entire year, wanting to make sure it's absolutely right. And, you know, that's his privilege, as is his right. Now, don't get me wrong, it's been a bit of a pain in the arse being quite poor. But the purpose of writing in the first place was to generate an extra revenue stream. However, it's gone from, oh, well, that'll generate me a revenue stream till the people around me get bored of it, and then it'll be forgotten about. Now, since QE's put his 2 pennyworth in, and Adam's put endless hours of work in actually doing the editing of it, it's become a book that will last forever. I can put my hand on heart and say, that book will outlast me. People will be, a bit like Rowbotham's book, people will be thumbing through the pages of how to undo globetard arguments long after I'm dead in that book. So
this is going to be the book, not just a book, the book.
Right. And we were going through, so one of the chapters, the reason I keep blaming the most recent chapter that we have edited last time. The reason it's taken ages is because of gravity. It's taking bleeding ages. Now the reason it's taken ages is because of Coriolis effect. It's taking forever. And it has, right? It was previously the biggest chapter was gravity. Now it's the biggest chapter is Coriolis effect. My least favourite subject. Now I know exactly why. When you put pen to paper and explain the convoluted gaggle screw of nonsense that is Coriolis effect and Earth rotation and the claims that are suggestive of proof therein. Oh man, you know why. Because you're reading through it going, man, there's so much to take in. There's the original effect that's real, Coriolis effect. There's the globetard assertion of axial rotation, 15 degrees an hour, claimed to be evidenced by you being the non-inertial reference frame observing an inertial reference frame, therefore the stars that in their rhetoric are still moving, but in the solar system-based system that this claim of a rotating Earth is going to come from, they're actually stationary, and we're moving around the sun. So when you've got all of this complicated nonsense to sieve through, you end up with a basic premise that fails. Earth does not exhibit Coriolis effect. So you'd think it would be easy. Oh, you just summed it up in 2 minutes. No. Because that's just the beginning. You pointing out to somebody that there is no Earth-based Coriolis effect, nothing's drifting at 15 degrees an hour, with the exception of the stars, that they want you to assume the ground you're standing on is turning without any other discernible effect, when they're claiming there is one called Coriolis effect that you can't observe. There isn't an Earth-based Coriolis effect. End of argument. That's their claim. They claim there is one, there isn't. But they then say, no, Earth and atmosphere are attached together. Globiolus effect, north-based only, slight deviation as the ground changes speed. And you in the Earth that's carrying the rotating, violating the first and second law of thermodynamics atmosphere in lockstep with the Earth without containment means that you hardly see any effect. You're like, what? You and your reference frames are ruined, Nathan. What? I haven't got any reference frames. Where the hell am I? What's going on? That's Coriolis effect. So breaking that down into a chapter is about 1/5 of the book. Anyway, shout out to JMLs24. Let's just put it up on screen, make sure everything's working. Yes, it is. The only question we should all be asking is, where is Nick now? And how do we get him back? Come on, Nick, come back. So that's for the audience's reference. That's
Later, but check this. Check this. Just one thing going back to Jaren, man. Like, just tell me if you follow this logic about Jaren's lack of logic. If he says he went back to the globe because he saw the 24-hour sun in Antarctica, right? Doesn't that mean that the only reason he believed the Earth is flat is because he believed that there's 24-hour sun in Antarctica?
I don't know what logic
Right?
he's employing to make his assertion. It's just the main bit that needs to be heard is I'm not a flat earther anymore. And then he's got individual pieces to justify it. The bits that you pick out is up to you if you're a fan of Jaren. So for me, I'd be looking at what's usual rank and file flat earth believer looking for their cope after the fact from. And their cope's coming from models that claim that the sun's refracted across the whole map, right? So Jaren spun that into, how can you suggest that the, what's it called? The eclipse where you've got a sun above the horizon. Seleninian. How can you say that the Seleninian eclipse is impossible to explain with a globe Earth when it's only a couple of degrees below the horizon in their model, when you've got a new model that's suggesting 180 degrees refraction, as Jaren phrased it? I'm just paraphrasing his suggestion for the flat believers who have then gone on to seek cope after seeing a 24-hour sun because their azimuthal equidistant North Pole-centric globe projection fails as a flat Earth model. Well, those people are being crapped all over by Jaren without him having to even relinquish flat Earth, because you can say, I'm not a flat earther, I know Earth's measured flat, you guys don't understand really big balls, the ball model explains it best, I'm not going to be a globe head. So he's engaging in the art of doublethink, isn't he? But what you pick out of that is, oh yeah, up until now when the globe model fails, because it's not about proving Earth's flat for flat Earth believers, it's about why the globe model fails. Well, it only fails on a couple of degrees of refraction for a Seleninian, and here we are with our new flat Earth model with 180 degrees of refraction, says Jaren. And you see how that would be very detrimental without necessarily saying I'm going to become a globe believer. Who's opening a can of pop? Keith Blackstone, whatever you're called. Keith, any particular reason you opened your mic and they made a load of noise in the middle of my statement?
Nathan, I think he just joined with open mic and he went right on mute.
No worries. My bad. Anyway, so that's it. So it's very detrimental to those that are like, no, it doesn't matter that the model fails. Look, there's a new model. And it just bounces the sun off a dome. No worries. Yeah? Makes sense?
Yeah, it makes total sense, man. That's my point. Like, in other words, if they had any factual information about the FE, they would know that 24-hour sun is irrelevant.
It's irrelevant if you've got no model assertion that you're claiming proves the shape of the Earth. You know, you just know it's measured, and that's the aspect of Earth that we deal with. In terms of how we come up with these models, it's utilising the flat measurements. So, well, what model do you ascribe to? I don't know. I'm not a cartographer. Hold on, Mush. Go ahead, Chocolate.
So that's the problem. Jumped from one model directly to another. Jumped from the magical spinning water ball, so-called model, to an AE map, which then he took as a model. Now, without actually confirming empirically that that's what it is, that's what he did. And that, by his own claims, that's what he's been teaching for 9 years. So now that he's realized that that's wrong because of his observation, he has to relinquish it. Right? I mean,
Yeah,
why
maybe.
would you? I mean, and meanwhile, we're over here saying, well, we don't accept the map or model as our reality. That's a reification. Why are we going to do that? Right? And we get made fun of for that. But meanwhile, look at what Jaren's doing, because he did exactly that. So there you go.
Maybe that's his purpose in being here. It would seem to be the case. He's kept people on an azimuthal equidistant projection. He's got people's objections and his overcomes lined up for why that map as a failure would entail a relinquishment of flat Earth. as a belief, because it's always been the case that Globebusters, Jaren, those lot have gathered people up into a new replacement belief and given them new stuff to believe in replacement of stuff like gravity with ether and downward biases, incoherent acceleration. All of this stuff is packaged up as a replacement, ready to be destroyed. And we've been pointing it out forever, right? So when you say, oh, well, Neil says that the pointing fingers at the cult, well, that's how Flat Earth's been packaged up. Maybe intentionally so it can be destroyed, burnt, and have lots of people cast out to the wind without having come across us and our good arguments. Nay, statements of absolute fact when it comes to Earth being measured flat. Rose?
What's up?
Guy, don't normally get you on a live show.
Took off today and with the children.
You phone the police.
Excuse me?
You run off with the kids? Is it really that bad?
No.
He said I took off today. Hey, by the way, before you even get started, D Rose, I'm kind of getting annoyed how QE's treating you. We're gonna have a word with him.
How's he
Huey
treating
can
him?
eat. Huey can eat earthworm doo-doo. I don't know.
As soon as D comes, I mean, he's got a new job, so he can't be in as much as he would like to be in. And when he does come in, QE gives him a hard time immediately. But it's good that you're a good sport.
Thank you. He put me on unlimited mute on his show, and I just said, I just went and watched football games.
But what's happening, D, is because you're obviously up to other stuff. You're not 100% up to date with the Flat Earth debate. You're at like 90%. That's not enough. QE's irritated with you because of it.
No, I mean, pretty much everything's been redundant, just kind of reiterated in different ways, but it's the same battle with the Feast of Nonsense, anti-flat earthers, pseudo-flat earthers, and the globers. I mean, I'm pretty much caught up to date. I mean, I just made that comment about that celestial sky. Not that I believed in it, but I'm glad the way QE came in on it, just to shut it down. That's what I wanted him to do. Because I was like, I'm tired of hearing about that. I mean, you can't help hearing it from Wikipedia and Google, but I'm tired of hearing it, going around through the I ain't gonna say community, but through these platforms. Just tired of hearing about it. That's giving them an excuse for that celestial, whatever, that sphericity geometry. That's what it is. I can't stand that because that's what they use, that celestial bull crap about the sky being a dome or whatever. Then you got the piece of nonsense, people talking about the dome, whether it's, no offense, Neil, whether it's a dome or whether it's concave or all of that stuff. I mean, so convoluted, put together, and it's kind of like it's just feeding the piece of nonsense and keeping that that fuse burning. So
No, fair enough. If it annoys you, it annoys you. Yeah, it seems like there's been little response. I did see Planet Peterson had done a response to me. I didn't get an opportunity to watch it. I was too busy. Did anybody happen to watch that? Because that was directly addressed to me.
no. But can I say something? Y'all know, not that y'all care, but y'all know Brother Sanchez not only did an interview of Jarengism, and they talked, and it was about pretty much he was being like a liaison mediator to try to bring the peace within flat Earth proponents. But the way he did it was like his basic term was, at the end of the day, we all come down to one sole understanding and knowledge that the Earth is flat. All in it, but he also said they're different. He agrees, Brother Sanchez, that is, he agrees that there are different levels of misunderstandings and beliefs which have to be aired out. And I didn't really watch the video, but from what I understand, he's trying to bring everybody together because he doesn't like the division. But then yesterday, I think there was a battle, It was a debate between Brother Sanchez and FTFE. So I didn't watch that, but I don't know. I'm not sure if y'all aware of that, but
Yeah,
I don't know what
I'm aware in as much as I've seen the thumbnails for it. For both. Yeah, I was aware Jaren had spoken to Bro Sanchez a couple of days ago, and indeed FTFE the same. Just based on thumbnails.
You see that thumbnail? Sorry, you see that thumbnail you got up there right there? Right now? Or it just went away? It looks like an iron, like an iron burn.
Yeah, you're talking about the cutaway from the equatorial plane.
Yeah. That was the part I was talking about before. Yeah, this one right here. This is where they have that whole argument of the sphericity angles and the way you can measure on a sphere with angles. And it's just like, man, I just wish somebody could really just shut it down. We could just concentrate on that. Because that's the only thing that's, to me, that's the only thing that's still kind of keeping breath in their lungs.
Well, because they don't fully appreciate how the conversion from flat plane elevation angle measurements to the stars has resulted in a celestial sphere, which is actually made up of two separate models, north and south, sandwiched antipodally. That is to say, north and south equatorial planes with celestial sphere being the end result of those two sandwich antipodal systems. And then with that system, taking Haverside to project a redundant map of the world in spherical format around an equatorial plane, so that the points that you actually measure through the globe to the sphere can be at least represented positionally as a map of the world that can then be projected onto tubes to cut out and roll out flat in the form of the Mercator projection. Knowing that is fairly difficult to summarize, if I'm honest. I can do it. Most people probably couldn't. D.
But that was good. That was perfect.
Yeah, but that's where, when I say Earth is measured flat, there's substance to what I say. And in discussion forums recently, I've been challenging our opponents to offer a globe measurement, and I've said, I'll show you where the Earth is measured flat in your globe measurement. That's a fairly tall order if you don't know what you're doing. For me, it's a doddle. Just wait for them to point out a flat Earth measurement and just say, there you go, there's your flat Earth measurement. It's easy.
Let me read some of this nonsense for you. Listen to what one commenter says. It must be refreshing not to have to twist your brain to find explanations, keyword for everything anymore. Here we go. You ready? Moon phases. Round Earth explains it. Nice. Sunsets. Round Earth explains it. Nice. Counter rotating. Stars in north and south. Round Earth explains it. Nice. Polar star not visible in the south. Round Earth explains it. Nice. Coriolis force. Round Earth explains it. Nice. Midnight sun. Round Earth explains it. Nice. Eclipses. Round Earth explains it. Nice. Tides. Round Earth explains it. Time zones. Round Earth explains it. Flight routes. Round Earth explains it. Ship sailing times. Round Earth explains it. Bob's 15 degrees. Round Earth explains it. Ships disappearing bottom up. Round Earth explains it. Sun never changes angular size. Round Earth explains it. 24-hour moon on the poles. Round Earth explains it. I got two more. Circumnavigation of the Earth. Round Earth explains it. Leap year. Round Earth explains it. Seasons. Round Earth explains it. Nice.
Yeah, round and flat. For all of those to be correct, you'd have to be round and flat as opposed to spherical. So to create a round Earth, you need an equatorial plane, a celestial hemispherical view, North Pole centric, and a hemispherical view, South Pole centric, to be sandwiched antipodal into a sphere view, to project out a globe, to put in motion around the sun in the heliocentric model. Now, through our history as people, that is where we have got to as far as astronomy is concerned. So it's not like we would say, okay, we've got something better. No, we haven't. I'm not suggesting that we can better explain the stars when the model that's being used in mathematical terms to better predict where they'll be or how they will be is something entirely different. But where they will be is explained in a mathematical model that's been derived from data acquired from a flat plane. If you take things like equatorial minimums to create sphericities, to give you radial values to put in orbital motion, all of those things necessitate the ground be measured flat to create them in maths. Now, the violation of the measurement is necessitated for this out-of-the-box thinking by Kepler, Copernicus, and Huygens. Those are the three main players in putting us into a quote-unquote round Earth, actually spherical Earth moving around the sun, in the mathematics of Copernicus, Huygens, and Kepler. Now, that mathematics might be able to give you a time with a number and a day in a word next to it for where a location of a star will be above the ground at a given time in an almanac. That's what it'll do. It does not give you the capability of also violating the same ground-based measurement in the creation of a sphere Earth in the ground that you're actually standing on. You can't physically bend the ground that you measured flat to create a sphere model. Now, you can in maths. You can take the minimum elevation angle to Polaris, back engineerable into all of these maths when you measure the angles to any star in the almanac for the model of a sphere. And you can suggest that that radial value isn't circular anymore, it's spherical, so that you can put the entire body of the surface of the ground you measured flat in motion around the sun as done in the Copernican model. But that idea is very out of the box to try and attempt to explain what could only have been created by the hand of God himself. Now, we mere mortals could spend till the end of eternity attempting to reasonably explain how this stuff works. And our best attempt violated the very measurement we took to create it. That's our best guess. That's our best effort. And now what the people who have reified this through education mostly, brainwashing if you will, take that and say, that's how the world is because it's the best we've got of explaining it. Me, I say, the best we have to explain how the world appears to us violates the base principle we used to measure it in the first place. That's pathetic. As people, we could do better. But the sad individuals that have gone, oh, well, that's good enough. It's been reified and taught to us as kids now. Well, I don't really want to change. Change is terrible. It's awkward and, requires effort. Let's just stick with what we've got. Yeah, but we've got to violate the base measurement in order to believe that we're on a ball where the ground we measured flat actually bends. In the plotted system that we project through our angles of measurement to a sky that's been bent in a model, it's all ludicrous. But that is ipso facto what we've done to better predict where the stars will be. That's what the church wanted. That's why we have this system. When's Easter going to be, they asked. Well, we are actually getting it wrong each time we give out our prediction about when Easter will be. We're off. Looks very bad on the church. We need a better system for predicting it. Then you end up with Kepler, Copernicus, and Huygens through the timeline that they give us according to their own history. They're more than willing to tell you why we have a heliocentric model. It's just not capable of reification for the simple reason that the ground we measure flat has to be bent for you to reify it. Projected up from the points that we measure with angles through a globe that doesn't exist and is redundant to any practical application. And those angles that are projected through a globe to the celestial sphere, also ludicrous if you want to break down that assertion. The sky's flat. The ground's flat. We're measuring a parallel sky that doesn't alter in any way, shape or form, even if you raise in height. You try and explain that. You can't! Now, if you want proof of God, look up It's all you need. Now, if you want proof of the ground, get a tape measure out and measure it. They have, and the globe comes from those flat measurements that we as mere mortals can achieve here on the ground. I'm done.
The guy, by his comment, he seems to have missed out on something. He keeps saying, first of all, yeah, he keeps saying round. So round, don't know the difference between round and spherical. Nice. Anyway, the problem he has is that he says all these things are explained by the globe until you actually start trying to explain it, and then you got to switch it up. See, that's why we have this thing called anti-flat earthers, right? Because all of a sudden their model doesn't work, and they have to switch up story, or sometimes go literally the opposite of the claim that they're making, right? So all of a sudden, they're not really actually fighting for the very globe they believe in, fighting for something else. So, yeah, no, your whole list of, oh, this explains that. No, that's wrong, buddy. Sorry.
It's apathetic to what we already have. It's an appeal to ignorance. It's an attempt to retain the dumbing down of society. That's what anti-flat earthers represent. Rather than saying this isn't good enough, it should always be considered inadequate and require improvement. No, it's good enough. It's only off by this much. What do you mean off? You've had to bend the ground you measured flat. You're telling me it's off in the model. When you reify it into the actual ground being a sphere moving around the sun, don't be absurd. But it's good enough. No! Anti-flat earthers want it to be explained better. Yeah? Look for flaws and say, that's not good enough. Now me, the flaw that you've got to bend the ground is enough. That's enough for me to go, I don't care about the globe model anymore. It will never be correct. It can't be. Can't take calculations to be true if they violate the measurements. Shout out to refracted curvature. He's absolutely correct. The globe will never suffice. Ever.
And I think Duffy has proven that. Because again, like all the money you have, all the funding, all the resources you have, to plan this whole trip to go to this place, right? You couldn't have done that to actually find somewhere to measure the curvature of the Earth, which is the whole point of this thing in the first place. You couldn't do that. Globers are waiting forever for this guy to show up as a messiah of their globe to finally prove to the flat earthers that there's curvature, actual measured curvature, and you couldn't do it. Rest in peace, globe.
Yeah, as much as it initially is like you can see people like Flat Earth Banjo trying to undermine and justify what's happened in Antarctica, he has people around him that I've noticed that are all of a similar group of people, right? Christian Flat Earth Bible literalists. Shout out to Paula in the chat. It used to be her namesake. She used to be called Bible literalist. But there's a lot of Bible literalists that I've seen, again, doom scrolling on TikTok and shorts videos, that also, like us, seem largely unaffected. Now, in the past, I've said it's perfectly reasonable for you to take a demonstrable fact, like a measurement of Earth being flat, and then use that to say, as it also states in the Bible. But there is a lot to be said for people who have faith in the words of God. Shouldn't be decrying it in the way I phrase this, but I can't help doing it that way. Because they also seem largely unaffected by what has been presented at in TFE, because they trust their Bibles and they trust the word of God. So while we're all, if you will, excuse the terminology, holier than now when it comes to TFE, because we are largely unaffected knowing the Earth is measured flat, the sentiment that I tried to put across earlier, look up at the sky if you want proof of God, there's people who trust in the word of God, in the case of the Bible literalists, who have also been unaffected. They're not too concerned about Jaren's actions. There are those who have perhaps not necessarily taken the word of God as literally as others and do need to seek cope in an attempt to explain an azimuthal equidistant projection, because they might be Bible literalists but are also flat earth believers, unfortunately for them. But there is, as I say, a minority group that I've seen as a result of hanging around Banjo, basically. That I go, hang on, you do seem surprisingly calm about this, like us. You seem unaffected. And after seeing 5 or 6 or 7 examples, you go, okay, what have you all got in common? You all take the word of God to be true. Didn't we cover one? Wasn't there a boxer or a MMA fighter or someone that was a bit like that? Who was that? I'm sure it was early on. Bryce or something? Somebody jogged my memory. I'm sure there was a Christian.
But I think Mush knows who it is. Didn't he recommend it?
He was the first one that piqued my interest. I'm like, you're reacting to this in a way that tells me you're almost unbothered by it. You've got your explanations, which I don't agree with. I remember that bit. But I remember thinking you're kind of unfazed just for not the reasons I want you to be unfazed. And it didn't make any sense to me till now. So I'm sure there's more than just us and Bible literalists. Go ahead, whoever that was.
It was Bryce Mitchell.
Right. There's people who seem unaffected by this, and it's not for the reasons that we're unaffected. And that's interesting. It's nice when you sit on the sidelines, because previously I'm like, we'll look in on the dust cloud, right, holding a cocktail and laughing. Well, what I was only focused on, what's going on in the dust cloud. You want, it's like a moth to a flame, right, is how I was describing it. You want to get in and get involved and be that conspiratard that we all are. But after a while, you actually looked off in the periphery, and you go, hang on, there's other people looking in on this dust cloud, isn't there? That's interesting. Who are you? Or not.
Yeah,
Nobody's going to affirm this. Fine.
No, yeah, I agree. Banjo's been doing this thing, and he's been breaking down everything else, the technical stuff and the videography, everything. I mean, he's coming up, him and whole lot of other believers, that have faith, but they interject that at the ending, but they also are dissecting a lot of the flaws and everything like that. But I always comment on there about the antecedent to their globe calculation, to their globe belief is measuring a terrestrial plane, a flat Earth. At the end of the day, I always put that on all of his comments. He does a thumbs up on it. He knows this, but he's also trying to let the world know how deceptive that the TFE crew was and how they thought that they can fool everyone and how they're so funded and financed and how it's a spiritual war and how it's the enemy is relentless. I remember I said that before. The enemy will find every single tactic to try to keep the fuel burning on this low belief relentlessly. And it proves today.
I disagree with you for so many reasons. I think it's just us, lazy people who just don't want to advance our understanding because we'd rather already have the explanation so we can get on with other things, paying our mortgages, worrying about our selfish selves. Yeah? And as a result, not only are we not trying to look into it, like the originators who, as much as we decry them, were the church, right? They just want to worship in a more efficient way by knowing when Easter's going to be when they come up with this model reified by us through laziness. So while it might be the case that you think there's a greater power at work, I don't think that. I just think it's men. When you get to the top of any chain and you're like, wow, let's meet the Wizard of Oz. Now, it's just some guy, isn't it, behind a curtain, some dothery old dude who doesn't know what the bloody hell he's doing. And it's all very kind of embarrassing. You're like, really? So you're the one actually running this crapshoot? Oh, God. Oh, dear. So instead of going, well, rather than encouraging people to figure out what is above us, maybe there is something to us taking the mickey out of Jaren and Whitsit and whatever the chick's name was, because they were talking about the creator, and maybe it was off a script, maybe it wasn't. But there is more to that than perhaps meets the eye when we're failing miserably to explain things. The lazy amongst us want to retain a crappy explanation for our own grandiose endeavours and feeling like we've got it all figured out and you stupid flat earthers are the only things that are getting in our way. No, we've got nothing to do with your cope. Like I pointed out with TFE, that's no different in the whole, is it? We're just there for their cope, to make us not either lead people to investigate how the world does actually work, or recognize there's a creator and get on with their lives for a different reason. Shout out to Vidali, says, weekly check-in, just saying thanks again. Had some guy trying to argue with me saying density controls gravity. Smiling, laughing face. Thank you for the super chat. Yeah, we're lazy. No one wants to give any credit to God. And when it comes to us already having an explanation, therefore not having to look into it any further ourselves, it's just, yeah, that's people. People are crap, aren't they? We're all bloody lazy. And rather than actually doing something about it, we'd rather go and affirm our own bias and then point for other people for not knowing. In this case, flat earthers. Or getting it wrong, moreover, because that's even more damaging. They got it wrong, so much so that their leader's leaving. Oh, bye. We really will miss Nick, won't we?
Yeah. Nick, the famous flat earther that left. I wonder if anybody joined him.
Well, Nick can't be replaced, but, someone was going to have to take hold of the leadership reins. I'd say it'd be me. Nick, you won't be forgotten, but you can be replaced.
But Nathan, do we really care about their explanations? Like when Neil says, like, round earth explained this and that, like, round earth, number one, doesn't talk, and number two, explanations are meaningless. Right?
The explanations have come at the behest of a man that wants a calendar or a
can't
clock
demonstrate
or
and prove it to me. You know what I mean?
Well, I'm just trying to say that throughout history, the reason we've got these explanations is because a guy's come along and said, I want this clock to work or this calendar to work.
Well, that's why I emphasize the word explanations. But this guy that was commenting on Jaren, you get sick. If you go to his last video, just read the comments, you'll be sick to your stomach.
And she's got a second reference here as she's doing a mod bit in the YouTube chat. So if you go to Bible Use channel, she's done bucket loads of stuff on the back story of the heliocentric model, how it came to pass, all that kind of stuff. Or go and check out a condensed version from Johnny Cerrucci on my channel. My interview with him summed it up in a couple of, well, might have been one really long interview, I forget. But, 2 or 3 hours of him just going through it in great detail. Where it all comes from, who are the main players, why are they being charged with it, who's in charge of the observatories and why, what they're using the information for, how they're gathering the information, and it's politics for the most part, isn't it? Who's being kept happy by having their name on the calendar and figuring out a single system that matches up with these days and weeks and years and 24-hour cycles, all of which is crudely derived from the movements and averages of these lights to begin with. But we as men, we want to imagine that we have some semblance of control by tracking this information. And we've done all right. But we've reached a point where we've now in our own arrogance, where we're decrying people who just recognise that, no, okay, we might have some good mathematicians and observatories to gather this data. It doesn't mean that we can bend the ground and turn it into the sphere that the math suggests that it is to give us a better capability of predicting where these lights will be. That's a step too far. Well, you're just a clown shoes flat earther! No, well, not really. I mean, if you want to find out more, you should, but you don't. You just want to tell me I'm wrong and get on with your day for cope. That's pretty sad. We're in a sad place in history, if you ask me.
People perpetuated this nonsense. They sure knew what they were doing. Right? They understood human psychology. They understood humans don't like not having explanations for things. It takes a certain type of human to accept that there's something that he might not understand. And I think that was Jaren's main problem. Because to make a statement like the Earth is measured flat, but the sky can only be explained by living on a sphere, just states that you don't understand the sky. And that's okay. But thinking that you understand the sky because someone's handed you a map, I think that was the wrong way to go. And again, we got made fun of because we don't accept maps and models as our reality. When we're talking about the ground, we're talking about the actual ground, where we live and walk, work. Right?
Hang on. I promoted Bible Literalist, formerly, now Bible U, right? And her exemplary historical endeavours to educate people. So what she posted in my chat, a link to her critiquing Danny Faulkner, one of her rivals. Outrageous, Paula. But go and check her out. She's put a link to her channel at the very least. Or I'm reading too much into that and she just grabbed the first link to get people to go and subscribe to her. In which case, fair play, Paula. Grab the first link. I'll just assume the best. Go and check out.
No.
Hey,
I'm in the middle of a plug.
Danny
Hello,
Faulkner-
middle of a plug. So go and check out Bible U's channel. You can see her link whizzing its way by in the live stream chat right now. Lots and lots of information. Not only that, observations of the sun, sunspots, all that sort of stuff. All the stuff that they're currently making it seem like, oh, wow, this is fascinating stuff to look into. Yeah, I was getting all that information years ago from Paula, as she made much better observations with her telescope while I was having kids and getting rid of mine. So it was lovely that I'd Paula around to do those things. So check her out. Go and subscribe to her immediately. She's a wealth of information when it comes to this stuff. Bible U isn't a great title. Bible U, it misleads people to think that it's only Bible related. Now, it is, because it ultimately is, but it isn't. It's so much more than just a Bible channel. So I don't know. I dislike your current name because it I don't know if it would put people off going, oh, well, I don't want to necessarily go there. It's just going to be a Bible channel. Like, just is such a condemning way of describing it if it was. But my point is that, like I say, there's lots of observational stuff. Like, you can actually see Paula's observations through telescopes that are very well done and well presented, along with all the research and historic information. So go and check her out. That's the end of my plug. You can interrupt now.
You should rename it literally Paula. Anyway, she was very annoyed because she brought a video in and he's attacked her for claiming that she was character assassinating Will Duffy, and it was uncalled for. We didn't need to do that. But then later on, you did it on freaking QE and a few of our shows. She was on it from the beginning. The man needed to be assassinated. Not really, but it needs to be brought out of what this type of man is, who he is, what we're dealing with. Now it's too late. He's damage done. Needle and the damage done. It's over.
I have no idea what you're talking about contextually. That made no sense to me at all. And I know you, so...
Okay, see, he gave us a video to review of her on a Will Duffy video. And you claimed that it was character assassination on him. But it really wasn't. She was just bringing out the truth about who this guy Will Duffy is. And then later on, you all did videos months down the road and were agreeing with Paula after you pretty much said it didn't have to go down that road of character assassinating Will Duffy. Just a little pet peeve that I've been meaning to get off.
Okay. I still don't fully follow, but fine, yes. Jolly good.
Paula's ace. That's all you got to know.
Yeah, I thought, well, if that's what you're driving at, I can wholeheartedly agree. Paula is ace, which is what I was trying to get across. Hopefully people will be subscribing to her in droves. There's 136 people watching. Please share this show if you've not done so already. Smash the share button. It's just a couple of clicks to stick your sentiment in terms of people's ability to gain knowledge on this subject with a couple of clicks. So stick it on Bebo or MySpace or whatever it is you use as a social media platform. And hopefully others will toddle along to the show and gather up some of this information also. We're almost at the end of the hour, and we haven't actually covered anybody today. Just been chit-chatting. Anybody have anything that they wanted to cover from Discord that they've encountered over the weekend that they were hoping to bring up, or anything like that? Hey, Flat Earther, by the way. Good to see you.
I thought you'd want to cover the either the video with, I mean, like I said, whether you care whether it's worth it, but at least this, eat up time. Either with the one with Brother Sanchez interviewing Scientism, or Brother Sanchez debating whatever his name is, FTFE.
Yeah, get us a link. We'll cover it. We'll have a quick goosey. Have you got a link to it?
All right.
Pick one. We'll have a look. As I say, I haven't seen them. I've just seen thumbnails, so I was aware that they'd occurred. Bro Sanchez is somebody I'll be hitting up in the not too distant future as soon as that book comes up, because I primed him recently, meaning a year ago. So, being as it's been a year since I primed him and said I'll be having a book come out soon, hopefully he'll remember that I did that. Such a long time. Oh, can I ask my audience, how do I sound? I've just got a new audio interface. So I've given my daughter my old one. Check her out on Game and Awe if you're a fan of YouTube kids stuff, i.e. An 8-year-old playing Minecraft. But she's had my old interface, which was causing a bit of crackling. Nothing particularly major, but I've decided to replace it. It's served me well for 3 years, and now I've sidestepped to a different brand that hopefully won't distort, that's got better preamplifiers in it. So can you let me know from the chat, does it actually sound the same? Typically when you change these things, it shouldn't actually sound any different if it was working correctly. But hopefully it's not sounding bad. Nobody's made any comment about that, so hopefully not. But yeah, there has been a specific change to my chain of audio, and it'd be nice to know that that actually works functionally and everyone likes the sound of the show and it all sounds great, and I've leveled it up nicely, and hopefully it should just sound exactly as it did before. Anyway, I've got a few thumbs up and whatever perfect signs. Brilliant. Sounds clean, says Fisherman in a Box. Oh, well, thank you. Maybe I'll find out a bit more from you. It sounds like you've had some entertainment experience, Fisherman in a Box, running big events, managing people and their feelings. I was listening to one of your stories the other day. So, yeah, thank you very much. Your show's clean as well. Check out Fisherman in a Box. I've been enjoying his material recently. If we're going to shout out, he's in the chat. I think you right-click on and then go to the little 3 dots and it says go to channel. You can check out that YouTuber. He's got maybe 1,000 or more subscribers. Could do with a lot more. Produces good material. Very entertaining. Very concise. I like the fact that you got a little timer for each of the subjects that you cover. So you can tune in and, you know, in an hour you'll get several subjects covered rather than a load of waffle about nothing. So, yeah, I've been appreciating Fisherman in the Box. It's nice to shout out some friendlies in my chat. Anybody else, like I say, from Discord? I noticed that Duncan came off mute before D Rose. Did you want to add something, Duncan?
Yeah, I didn't know if you saw Professor Dave's new video.
Again, it's like all these
the
things.
final experiment.
No, so somebody did send me. Let's just bring it up. I might show my Skype. So somebody posted the thumbnail and said Professor Dave can respond to everybody but Nathan. It seems that was Eli. We discussed it right at the beginning of the show, but in terms of actually seeing the video, no, I haven't.
I would get a link, but I'm driving. So.
No worries. But no, there's loads of stuff that's come up today in the show that we've talked about, having seen thumbnails but not watched. So there's also Bro Sanchez with Fight the Flat Earth and indeed Jaren, which has just been posted to me by D Rose to add to the list. But there's all sorts of stuff. The only person that's responded to me specifically in recent times was Planet Peterson, who I thought someone would be saying, "Oh, look, Peterson's brought you up specifically," but instead it's the fact that Dave hasn't, that was alluded to me with another thumbnail and linked to someone's video that I probably won't get a chance to watch.
What did Peterson say?
I don't know. I haven't got a clue. I don't get a chance to watch these things. I just see them in my list of videos when I occasionally do go to watch something. Normally when I'm looking something up. In other words, I don't know how YouTube does it. You go to, I need to do this. I'll go and have a look how to do that. Yeah? And then you go to look something up on YouTube, and while you're typing in the search, you see Peterson responds, Nathan Oakley can't cope with Antarctica or some crap like that. You're like, well, I haven't got time to watch that now. I'm doing this. Normally something for one of my kids. So you think, oh, well, I'll make a mental note of that, and perhaps, if we get time, I'll cover it on one of the live shows, like now. So when I go, did anybody watch it? I'm actually hinting, can somebody tell me what the video is about? Because I haven't got a chance to watch it. I don't really care. But it's got my name on it, so you'd think that at some point I might get a chance to watch it, and probably not. It might just slip by with all the other dozens of videos that are coming out currently seeking cope from flatties that are seemingly wanting to desert the subject.
Hey, Nathan, there's a video with your name on it. Check in the Skype.
There's a video with my name on it.
With your name on it.
Oh, there you go. That's
By
Peterson,
Planet,
right?
Planet Peterson, yeah.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. So, if you like, we'll cover this now.
Yes,
Tackle
please.
odours the easier way. Try Airwick Active Fresh Auto Spray. 24/7 odour removal.
Bloody hell, an unskippable ad that's 15 seconds long right before I want to get into covering a video. Isn't that sod's law? Thank you very much, YouTube. Hopefully it's just one-on-one.
Real quick, Nathan, before you start, if you don't mind, I noticed a common theme with all these videos is, like you were saying earlier, they're throwing well-known flat earthers under the bus, saying they switched sides. So I wonder if this might be the same.
What, in light of me moving back to the globe and all?
I don't know. Maybe.
Maybe not, but we'll see. Okay, so as is always the case, share the YouTube love with Planet Peterson. Let him know at Nathan Oakley 1980 sent me with a polite comment. There is a link to his video whizzing its way by in my live stream chat right now. As is always the case, the hope being that he would put a link to my video should he ever cover my material. I don't know if he is in this. Let's see if he is actually covering my material. If he is, I'd hope that he's put a link to me. But in spite of whether or not he does, I'm doing that for him. So please go and leave him a polite comment. Just let him know at Nathan Oakley 1980 sent me with something that doesn't talk down to him, so he wants to immediately remove it, or something that isn't sweary, so the YouTube bots immediately remove it. But just basically share the YouTube love. Give him a bit of traffic, give him a couple of comments, and hopefully he'll do the same for me if he responds to this video. So thank you first and foremost, Planet Peterson, which is the name of the channel we are covering. Nathan Oakley is not taking TFE very well, is the title of the video by Planet Peterson. So hopefully I'll buy a bit of time by doing this call to action a few times. So if you are, as I say, in my live stream chat, as I am saying this, as I am saying it live, as we speak, do actually click on the link that you can see on screen now from the YouTube live stream chat, and do go to Planet Peterson and let him know that we did cover his video with a polite comment that doesn't immediately get removed by the YouTube bots or him personally as a YouTube videographer. So just let him know I sent you, and hopefully he'll come along and do the same for me if he's to do a response to my response to him saying I can't cope with TFE, according to him. Okay, hopefully that's bought enough time for a few of you in the live stream chat to have actually followed up on that call to action and toddled along to Planet Peterson's video to leave him a comment to say at Nathan Oakley 1980 sent me. Okay, right, any comments? Has anybody actually watched this in earnest before I do start?
No, I haven't watched it, bro, but I'll just say, when it comes to the Dunning-Kruger effect, Planet Peterson picture is next to the definition in a dictionary.
Oh, well, let's not poison the well. Bloody hell.
No. Okay, you'll see.
Well, I'm sure that might be the case, but we've covered Peterson before. But if you've just toddled along and you've never watched me before, now one of my panels just immediately poisoned the well on this guy while I'm encouraging them to go and click on the link.
Fair enough. Come on, let's go.
Bloody hellfire. You earlier praised us for calling out our own, right? Mush, that was you, right?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, don't
Move
poison
on.
the well. Thanks.
Es ist dem Feind gelungen, die Front in breiter Formation zu durchbrechen. Im Süden hat der Gegner Zossen genommen.
So this will immediately get my video demonetized if I allow this to play out. Okay, so it's just an edited video using someone else's material where he's added his own subtitles to it. But this gets struck immediately. So I've mirrored somebody who did exactly the same thing, and it just immediately gets copyright strike by whoever owns this footage. So I'm not playing this. Okay, well that's disappointing.
Also,
why the hell did I send my audience to you, Peterson? You just nicked someone else's. This isn't yours. What the hell? It's not.
Also, I just want to say another global, where is Wally or someone that I don't remember, already took the same meme and did the same thing about coping and you and the others. So it is not even original.
Yeah, useless. I mean, if you've got nothing to say, put subtitles onto somebody else's video, I guess, because I'm not even going to dignify it by reading what you've typed out on someone else's footage, I'm afraid, Peterson. I'll just take that as you having nothing, because if you did, you'd be saying it. Okay, right. Well, that's a highly disappointing waste of time. Any form for any more before I do round out, unless for people who are watching on the after show to stay tuned.
So the Sanchez one, you're afraid there might be some profanity on it?
No, you got to get Fisherman on a box on here. See what he's doing. Have him come in for a little visit.
Have you been watching Fisherman in a Box, Neil?
Absolutely.
You like
You're going
him?
to use a Godfather reference and liken us to the Corleone family? Of course I love this guy.
Yeah, he knows how to appeal to you. Exactly. Make us into a Godfather reference and say and not call us shills. You know what I mean? Oh, you're our friend. You're not calling us shills. Oh, well, that's wonderful. You must be a nice person. We'll promote you. It doesn't take much.
No, he's got good material. I've been listening to him. Really good stuff.
No,
and he's in
completely
the
agree.
entertainment business, right up your alley, Nathan.
I tend to find the acid test is if I find my wife watches stuff that I'm listening to. So she'll come and sit next to me while I'm watching stuff. It's not like I stink or anything, but you know what I'm driving at, right? And start just having a little listen. She'll do it with Paula. She does it with Fisherman in a Box in this example, mainly promoting those particular ones because I've shouted them out on this show. There are others, but those two specifically, my wife sat and listened while that sort of stuff's going on. I'll be honest, she used to listen to Arwen. Quite often she'd be moaning and saying, "Shut up, Arwen." But that's just something else. So she doesn't always enjoy the things she's watching. But in the case of Paula and Fisherman in a Box, recently specifically, she's sat down next to me. Oh yeah, well, that's interesting. And we've discussed some of the things, topics, etc. So yeah, I like to recommend people when my wife sits and engages in the topic, because she very rarely does. She's completely disjointed from this subject. She doesn't care. She has no involvement in Flat Earth, couldn't care less. I would go as far as to call her a glober. Anyway, 143 people watching. Please share the show. So obviously I should self-promote amongst all these shout-outs. Please share the show. Let people know how wonderful we are, as we are fantastic. Any more for any more, I'm going to round out shortly. Okay, with that, I'll say if you are watching this on either Nathan Oakley 1980 or Nathan Oakley premiering streams, then stay tuned, as there will be an after show to follow.
Well, I was supposed to get some snow tomorrow, but apparently we're not getting snow anymore, so I'm disappointed. It's supposed to be 3 inches.
We had a major snow yesterday.
Yeah.
And now it's freezing cold, dude.
Yeah, it's chilly here too. It was
0
like
degrees
23.
tomorrow.
Yeah. I think the coldest air temperature I ever experienced was I was up in the very tip of Maine, and they had to cancel classes one morning because the air temperature, like not with wind chill, but just the air temperature itself was like -20. I almost want to say it was like -30, but that sounds really extreme. But it was
Wait,
something
Fahrenheit.
ridiculous. Yeah,
Damn.
yeah. Because I turned 21 when I was there, and my little brother was going. So he goes, "Oh, dude, you can like buy us beer." I'm like, "Okay." So we started wandering around, dude. We ended up walking into Canada on accident because we're like taking these old logging roads, and there was so much snow, like because these roads don't get used in the wintertime. So all the stop signs and stuff are like halfway covered, and you were able to just walk on top of everything. And we ended up getting
Nice.
lost, and next I know we're in freaking Canada.
Any bear? Do you walk through
No,
woods
there was
where
a lot
there
of
are
moose,
known
though.
bear?
There was moose everywhere. You had to be really careful because they could be aggressive.
Yeah, with that rack, I wouldn't want to get hit with one of them guys, or just trampled on by them.
Ugh.
Nah, I've been finding these videos where people are like, "No bear," like a grizzly's walking at them, and they say, "No bear, no bear, no bear," and they're backing up. I'm like, people like this, when they get eaten, I don't feel bad. Like, what is wrong with you? You're going to tell a grizzly bear no bear. What if he's hungry? He's saying yeah, and you're saying no. The minute you turn around to run, you are going to get destroyed. And backing up, what if you trip over something? I don't know. That's crazy.
Yeah, you have to have some kind of firearm on you if you're in grizzly bear territory for sure.
Exactly. And not no stupid bear spray. Oh, if I was a bear and you sprayed me with that, it would piss me off. Anyway, Eli, isn't it weird though? You got to admit it. It's always these freaking rich white people that do these stupid things, but they wind up dead.
What, like base jumping and bungee jumping and things like that?
Yeah. Let's climb this freaking mountain that no man has ever climbed before.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was watching after TFE for whatever reason. I was presented a load of mountain expedition videos by YouTube, as they felt that was relevant to present to me. But I watched them about people going up K2 and Everest and dying. And you're like, okay, why?
Exactly why? Why are you doing that?
And why not go and do it somewhere useful like Antarctica?
Because they're white.
Bloody rich white crackers.
Dumbass crackers.
Still can't believe you did not know what cracker meant.
Now I know what it means, so now I can use it with its racial slur attached, can't I?
I mean, I'm sure there's plenty of slang in the UK that we don't know, Neil.
We just hate gingers here.
That's everywhere. Everybody
And rightfully
hates gingers.
so. Was a video that Brian posted to you that he wanted you to cover, by the way, just in case you were
Brian?
wondering.
Where, in Master B?
Yeah.
Have a little look.
Said he didn't watch it though, so.
Oh, well then. Oh, I didn't watch this, but Nathan can cover it on his live show. Oh, thanks, Brian.
Just wanted you to know.
I can't see it. I've scrolled quite far up.
No, it doesn't. It's not that high up.
Oh, I've scrolled all my way to what's it called? Ping pong golf ball.
Ball.
What was that?
It's a ping pong golf ball.
A ping pong golf ball?
Yes.
One more time.
It's a ping pong golf ball.
That's funny.
When she said it, I couldn't quite believe it. Completely unprompted.
Nah, I'm good. Now I've heard everything. That was awesome.
Well, that's an efficient way to play sports.
Just because something goes up doesn't mean it doesn't have a downward bias.
Words to live by.
It's not going up. It's just less down, man. Come on. Get with it.
So you heard back yet from your boy? Huey, from your boy, Synthetic Warrior?
Over to you, QE, and your love affair with Synthetic Warrior.
I'm at a loss. What?
Have you heard back from your boy, Synthetic Warrior yet?
My boy. No, I haven't.
I don't mind. Your man, Sleep. Your man, Synthetic Warrior.
I don't mind. Your man.
I tell you what, if Dell gets wind of this and gets a little jealous, I'd be worried if I'm Synthetic Warrior. Dell looks like a beast.
That was too busy worrying about whether the Earth is going upwards or not. So.
Yes.
Yeah. You're not getting the connection. Can somebody give him the connection?
No, let's not.
You know, I was just thinking about that. That's kind of weird. The two guys that you have bromances with are Umis, upward moving earthers, which I don't think that should be. If it's upward, we shouldn't say upward rising, I'm against. It should be upward moving earthers, not upward rising earthers, because that don't make sense.
You want to control the opposition, Neil, you lead it. So statistically, it's quite likely that QE's here to lead us off a cliff in 5 years from now, like Jaren did. Just another shill.
5 years from now.
Now, I think we should stamp this out now, but I'm just going to hesitate so that in a couple of years when it gets out of control, I can say, I should have stamped this out but didn't, so really this is my fault. and I can kind of take.
Too funny.
That's a shot.
Nicely done.
Well,
No,
I
we
will
should.
say, when I sent the message to QE, he was like, the only thing he responded back was, "That's disappointing."
No, it is disappointing. I'm only taking the piss out of this because it is disappointing. Obviously, you want to immediately embrace somebody that's got. So you go, oh, all right, you've got information that I didn't know about. That's immediately intriguing. So then you go, all right, yeah, but he's new me. Oh, it's like I was doing it off air, comparing him to a. No, I won't do it. I won't dedicate it to air. I nearly did.
It's fine. I don't have an issue with it.
I don't understand what upward rising Earth is. Like, I don't. Why did they come to that conclusion? Because what Einstein said about apples, like the apple, like the Earth meeting the apple or something. I don't get it.
No, Del threw a bottle out the window,
I was about to say that.
and now you got
That's
upward
funny.
rising Earths.
Oh, okay.
I've never actually seen that, as much half the time when I'm saying stuff like this, right? Del threw a bottle out the window. I have no idea what he actually did. Now, I just heard about roughly what he did and picked it apart based on loose information about it. I've never actually seen him do that. It could all be nonsense. Del may have never actually thrown a bottle out the window. Have we got to the bottom of this very important stuff, whether or not he did or didn't throw a bottle out of a window?
Brian went through it. Brian watched the video and tore it apart.
Fine. So one of our own has witnessed him throw this bottle. It's very important, Neil.
Yeah, definitely. I've seen it too. But I forgot what it's about, though. Something about the air bubbles inside the bottle don't move, or they move up. I don't know. I forgot.
Oh, that sounds so stupid. I don't know.
I don't know. It's no more stupid than magnets or something, isn't it?
Oh, no, I got
Yeah.
it. Relative density does not work in free fall. That's their claim.
Relative density doesn't work when stuff's falling. Okay.
Yes, in free fall.
So
There is
what?
no relative density.
Okay. So what? You can,
Yeah, well, you're taking it out of its equilibrium, right?
Yeah, so you can thwart it seeking equilibrium by throwing it into free fall until it hits the ground, and then it will, right? So the bottle, presuming it doesn't smash to pieces, once it hits the ground, 2 minutes later, it'll have all separated into its appropriate layers, right? But as it's flying through the ground, flying towards the ground, the argument is that, well, it doesn't displace all the different densities of liquids and solids or whatever's mixed up together while it's flying through the air after I throw it out of a window. Is that the argument?
Yes, and also the things that are moving on the Earth, that there has to be some sort of mechanism to make things move.
Like what?
Do we just have magic things happening?
Hold on, what's moving? Like what?
Or say a leaf falls off the tree, or the breeze, or anything really.
So with the leaf, let's start there. So they say that because a leaf falls off the tree. What about it?
There has to be a mechanism causing that, because what do we have in static Earth? Just all of a sudden fairy tale things just start moving without any forces on
brother,
them.
this is painful.
It is painful as that, isn't it?
That's what they say.
Painful. We can move on. I posted the video from Brian, the one that Brian sent you. It's in the bottom of.
Oh, okay. Have a listen. It's conspiracy cats, right?
Is that what it said? Hold on.
Wait a minute. What happened to the video I posted up there? Gonna do it another time?
Wait, which one? The one from
I believe so.
Sanchez. I sent you two Sanchez ones.
Yeah,
Sanchez.
we'll leave that alone.
Okay.
Why do you want to leave Sanchez alone?
I really don't. But I figured there's some videos out that are older videos, like from 2 years ago, 3 years ago, that are coming up as new. More or less like that. Yeah, I guess it is from. I thought Conspiracy Catz was done. I thought he was chasing ghosts or something.
That's what I thought.
Okay, would you want to watch it or not?
I'm just giving it to you from Brian. You asked about it, I gave it to you.
Jeff Bezos pushed the human race one step closer to commercial spaceflight by launching a reusable rocket.
Space? How'd you have gas pressure without a container? 123 times that Conspiracy Catz has been asked that question.
Into orbit. And in the same
orbit, you'll need a flat Earth to derive a radial value for Kepler, Copernicus, and Huygens to put a spherical Earth derived from flat Earth measurements into mathematical orbit around the Sun. So you'll need a flat Earth for how long are we in? 8 seconds.
Week, Doug, the flat earther, told me that there was something wrong with me if I believed we lived on a spinning ball, and Ryan told me I was a moron if I still believed in the moon landing. So,
I mean, I'd agree with the second one. I mean, your belief's kind of inconsequential to me. I shouldn't really even comment. But again, with the moon landings, they kind of travelled through a second law of thermodynamics violation, sky vacuum. The gas would fill the space. The gas you're breathing, Catz. Do you not remember Tommy from Birmingham, the boxer, asking you 20 times on a live stream how you can have gas pressure without a container? Then you buggered off, didn't you, Catz? Now here you are talking about going to the moon and space travel and orbits in sky vacuums. Did you think we'd forget? Now just carry on counting. 124 times. I'll make sure you receive this video. I'll count these two, Catz. Yeah? How do you have gas pressure without containment? You can't. It's a violation of the second law of thermodynamics. The gas we're all breathing would have never have formed pressure.
Can we quote him? Without the balloon, there can be no pressure.
Yeah, without the container, there can be no pressure, right, Catz? Yeah, we all know what you said. Yeah, you know this law of nature. So what, you gave up your Conspiracy Catz channel to a couple of other numpties and have now started Culture Catz? How uncultured are you if you violate the second law of thermodynamics with your declarations of space travel and orbits that are derived from flat Earth measurements? Go ahead.
Nah, he doesn't know what the second law of thermodynamics is. Remember I did a treatment on his dumbass where he said the second law only applies to energy, not matter.
I don't remember that, but fine. Okay.
Well, to be fair, he did tell Tommy he was going to come back with that answer.
Yeah, you'd be right back,
and
right, Catz? Yeah, you'll be right back. You told Tommy you'd be right back. Well, here you are, back. So 125 times you've been asked. How can you have gas pressure without a container for your orbits and your rocket ships and your moon landing? You want to just give us an answer there, Catz? Yeah, we'll be expecting one. I mean, it's not like 125 times of asking is a bit excessive or anything. For you to bugger off, come back and still be not offering up this answer for it?
One step forward, 2 steps back, I suppose.
All right, go ahead, Chocolate.
I was going to say, he also wanted to correct Tommy on the question itself, because Tommy kept asking him, how do you have gas pressure without a container? And he tried to correct it to, how do you have pressurized gas without a container? Which is that shit crazy insane.
We must be on the same wavelength because I was thinking the same thing.
Yeah, it's exactly the same thing. Yeah, how can you have pressurized gas without containment? I don't give a crap how you phrase it. Was that just his little attempt to subvert the question by paraphrasing it into the exact same question to make it seem like Tommy didn't know what he was asking?
No. He was putting it in a way that gas pressure and pressurized gas are two different things.
No, they're not. They're the same thing.
I'm telling you what he said. And then all the idiot anti-flat earthers got a hold of that. Don't you remember that little spell in time?
No.
That Conspiracy Catz started that nonsense.
It's kind of like saying, well, crocodile clips, very different for clips for crocodiles.
Yeah.
But I don't suppose you can blame the flat earthers for lashing out. After all, in the events of the last few weeks, where one of the internet's largest flat earth leaders has left the flat earth cult after witnessing the 24-hour sun in Antarctica, flat earth needs to find a way to cope and respond. And that is...
That's a stereotype and generalization fallacy. Also reification and anthropomorphization. Flat Earth needs to find a way to cope. Earth being measured flat isn't something that needs cope or will find its way to anything. You abject clown.
Really what this video is about.
Projection.
Stop. And the True Earth, it's a True Earth cult leader, not Flat Earther, Hanoi Jaren. Thanks.
Right in here. This YouTube channel here belongs to somebody called Flatzoid. He's a flat earther and he's not afraid to ask and answer the very biggest of questions. This week he decided to tell us what the sun was made of. And as a science teacher, I was incredibly excited to click on the stream and be...
As a science teacher, so you presumably would understand and recognise the fraud that is claiming an experiment when observing the sun. You think that observing the sun is an experiment there, science teacher? You're going to call out this fraud, lest you be tarred with the same brush. Go ahead, Gooey.
I'm just saying you got a science teacher that doesn't realize that that's not an experiment. That's all I wanted to add. I mean, there's many more things. He doesn't know what a hypothesis is. He doesn't know what an independent or dependent variable is. He doesn't know what an experiment is. He's a pretender clown fraud. He's a glue sniffer.
Educated.
So what is the sun, guys?
I don't know. I can tell you, bro. It's an illumination from God. That's all I could tell you. As for substance, for the dynamics of it, what it's made of, I haven't got a bloody clue.
Okay, now I know what you're thinking. Yes, if you were going to do a live stream about what the sun was, maybe you should...
Is it just me, or did he say that Flatzoid, specifically, knows what the sun is, and then Flatzoid asked other panel members what the sun was, and they all basically said they didn't know? Am I missing something?
I don't think so.
Find out the answer to that question before you start streaming. But that's not how Flatzoid and his team roll. Here we're going to see them progress their knowledge over the course of what was about 20 minutes. And they start by asking some pretty serious questions.
So, asking questions... No. Now we're on to them asking questions about the sun based on their declarations of not knowing. So you're a liar, Catz. Nothing much changes. You just told us that Flatzoid would tell us what the sun was. No, he did not do that. You're just a liar.
God clearly states in the Bible that sun is not a star. So why are we calling it a star?
It's a question that at some point in our lives we've...
It's a question that's making you a liar. You've said Flatzoid's going to tell us what the sun is. Then after he didn't do that, making you a liar, you said that you would expect him to have looked it up before he started his stream. So you're just a liar, aren't you?
All pondered the answer to. And once you've started asking the important questions, it's important you know where to look for the answers. And of course, children's television is always the best starting point.
Have you ever stopped and wondered what the sun is made of?
Yeah, absolutely.
And here in Flatzoid's stream, we had the honour of watching live how this form of education can fuel a passion and a wonder about the universe around us.
Wait, this is your rhetoric of what you believe the sun is and how it's presented to children. Now, you will also teach this to children, won't you, Catz? Yeah, because you're a scumbag, you're a liar. You'll deceive children knowing better. Knowing that there's a second law of thermodynamics violation that you'll what? Be right back with an answer for? You'd think you'd know how you'd form gas pressure without containment before entering into a public debate with a boxer. You'd think you'd know. You'd think you'd have looked it up first, clown shoes. Why didn't you look it up before going on a live stream with Tommy and then saying you'd be right back with the answer? Now you're back. Did you look it up while you were away, you utter clown? Is that what you did? Did you look it up while you were gone? You'd think you'd have looked it up before you spoke to Tommy, before I had to ask you in excess of 100 times. We're up to 125 so far. Why haven't you looked it up so far? Yes, because you just lie to children, Catz. You're a science teacher, but yet you're talking about going through a second law of thermodynamics violation sky vacuum, having been asked in excess of 100 times how that could be possible. You'd think he'd look it up.
so extremely hot that any ship would vaporize from the heat before it got anywhere near the sun's surface.
Yeah.
And that is how progress is made. It's how we go from saying this.
As for substance, for the dynamics of it, what it's made of, I haven't got a bloody clue.
To saying this.
It's a perpetual nuclear explosion.
Yeah, of course.
So this is misrepresentation of what's actually occurred by a lying shit, isn't it? Catz is a lying shitbag. So they've watched what you, in your heliocentric rhetoric, claim the sun is. You haven't got the slightest idea what it is. And this that is taught to children that they're assessing is being summarised. And you're going to misrepresent it like he's only just learnt this. You're a coward and a liar, Catz. You're also a shitbag that lies to children. That's what you are. Welcome back.
We could tighten that language up to make it more accurate, but there's no doubt.
No, I don't need to tighten anything up when I call you a lying shitbag that lies to children. That's what you are. You lie about space. You lie about what the heliocentric world is, just like this lying cartoon that they're critiquing. And while they critique it, you lie about what they have learned in the moment whilst watching it, having been ignorant of it, so you can make it seem like, oh, they didn't know what the sun is claimed to be by cartoons that represent your Catz, your faith. What a pathetic man.
Either.
Say again.
He is beyond pathetic. It's Q either, just to say, because again, I was a little bit tipsy Saturday, but I would reiterate that. No, it's true. It was that bloody Southern Comfort. I realised Sunday morning. But again, this is one of those times, right, that if you're educated beyond A-level standard, right, you listen to Catz and you know he's lying. You know he hasn't got an answer because he's purporting and actually tries to do it tongue-in-cheek and sarcastic. But he's just said the best evidence is TV, kids' TVs. Yeah, his position is. I know you said welcome back. It's the same bit of crap, isn't it? He won't actually deal with it. He'll invoke science, something he can't science the sun, to demonstrate his lack of knowledge. But genuinely, if you're listening to him and he's taking this position of ridicule, he's not presenting anything himself that of any substance that gives him a position other than believe kids' TV, which is quite a strong indictment for you, mate.
I got 2 gems from him. I just pulled them up. Remember this, conspiracy Catz? The second law of thermodynamics is about the movement of energy, not the movement of matter. That's number 1. Here comes the other one. Wait till you hear this one. Conspiracy Catz, this is what he said. The particles that have made it that high up in the atmosphere have already done so much work against gravity and have radiated off so much of their energy as heat that they have almost no energy left whatsoever. Conspiracy Catz, you dumbass cracker. That's it.
Out there that you've got to trust the process. It sure is working. Now, why is it important? Why is it important that we look at flat Earth channels and highlight really just how
huge doses of projection incoming?
Or ad hom. I know where you stopped it there, but that to me, I was like, and just stop the retards breeding or something. Is what I'm expecting.
Silly and how pointless the whole thing is. Well, I showed you this fella before, Jaren.
See what I mean? Silly and pointless. There's no actual real critique there. There's just to try and impart some kind of superiority without actually telling me why you're superior, Catz. Probably all the kids' TV you watch.
Came back from Antarctica with a whole new world view, and he left the flat Earth cult after seeing the 24-hour sun. This week, he's been...
That's incorrect. He left the true Earth cult that he created, and it seemed worshipped a globe projection known as the AE map that we relinquished many years ago, Catz.
Receiving an awful lot of messages from
should I say McKeegan? Conspiracy. By the way they speak, it's under Lite.
Yeah, he's a bit like
move
McKeegan. We got 20% of that gin, but yeah, he's saying his presentation style's a bit like McKeegan's.
His old subscribers whose lives haven't been going so well since he left the cult.
I've gotten a lot of messages, so many messages this week, and it's kind of all over the board. I've got some people.
Do we give a crap about this? Should have spin on through Jaren stuff?
Let's hear it.
Oh, okay.
That are claiming their life is over. Some people telling me I've left my wife or my husband, and now I don't know what to do with myself.
Prove it. Prove you had people say that they're leaving their wife or husband over what you've done. Prove it. I don't believe you. You know why? Because you're a proven bullshitter. That's why. So when you say, people have contacted me, all right, okay, let's see the messages then. Put them up on screen so I know that you're not just making these people up.
That's not easy to listen to.
And that is a reality.
Listen to? What do you mean listen to? I thought they were written to him. Let me just do that again.
Since he left the cult.
I've gotten a lot of messages.
Messages? I suppose they could be answering machine messages. Okay.
So many messages this week.
Not going to work, is it, that?
And
in a family court, why are you leaving your husband and you want custody? Well, because Jaren saw a 24-hour son, so I just have to leave him.
Sounds
what
like
is your
bollocks.
claim, you bum sniffer, Nathan? What is he doing? What is he searching for? What kind of pathetic platitudes or how much Jaren's suffering? Is that what he's after?
I've
He
no
actually
idea.
believes that there's people out there leaving family members because of his issues. Oh, he's on drugs.
And it's kind of all over the board. I've got some people that are claiming their life is over. Some people telling me I've
straight up death cell. People telling you their life is over. Context much?
left my wife or my husband, and now I don't know what to do with myself. That's not easy to listen to.
Doesn't he charge $400 for relationship counselling? Couldn't this just be somebody who's contacted him about for a relationship advice? Seriously? He's saying it's hard to listen to, but he offers relationship counselling, does he not? And he sounds like he's talking about somebody who's literally contacted him because they're having relationship trouble. So
yeah, we get it.
Do it for her. No. Let me just expand on it. Hold on. You think you've got it. You may not. What I'm saying is the fact that he's had this could be demonstrably true, but what he's doing is he's interweaving instances where people have got marital issues into him seeing a 24-hour sun and reaching the point of despair. Like, I would suggest that perhaps my first bluff was wrong, and perhaps he could show this evidentiary. He's pooling on actual experience, like most lies. You've got to pull from something that's true. So he's pulling from a true experience of people who've got relationship problems to make it seem like they're in turmoil over flat Earth.
And that is a reality when you have these extreme flat Earth beliefs. You're going to be...
Yeah, and Catz is utilising it to that end, isn't he? Called it immediately. Yeah, that's what he's using it for. So, Catz, did you do your due diligence? This man's a proven bullshitter. Apparently he's run a cult, but you'll take him at his word. You're taking the cult leader at his word that these people are in relationship turmoil because of flat Earth. Why would you take this quote-unquote cult leader at his word? Oh, is it because it supports your narrative? Oh, the cult leader's word's perfectly sufficient when it supports my narrative, right, Catz? How intriguing. Now, me, I immediately went, oh, I don't know, I think this guy's a bullshitter. I'd want to see that documented claim of leaving wives and feeling like the end of the world's come, or end of their life. Even worse, the death cell, full on. I'd want to see proof of it. Catz, oh, this is definitely the case. Due diligence much? Just trust the cult leader. Yeah, that's fine, I suppose, by Catz standards.
Stuck down some kind of rabbit hole of paranoia, and it's obviously going to have negative effects on your life. And
like the ones you discussed with Haunted House. This sounds very much like projection, if you ask me, Catz. Sounds like what you detail would be your fears and concerns when you had that. What? My mate would have these concerns in the third party. Definitely not me I'm talking about.
separate you in time from your family and friends. And it's good that Jaren is owning that and he's sticking around to try and help some of the people that maybe he's pushed further into that rabbit hole. I do have to respect him for that. But it does seem that the rest of the flat Earth community are trying to perhaps undo Jaren's message. And rather than try and use science to do it, they're trying to use something a little bit more biblical.
I don't panic because somebody saw a light in the sky. Oh.
Yeah, I don't know either what that noise was all about. I just didn't want to be left out. I thought I'd join in. Now,
this is, like Adam said, just rough around the edges ad homs. What is the point of this? What information do you actually have to offer, Catz? Besides running away with your tail between your legs, giving up your channels, and now coming back, what do you actually achieve? Where's this going?
Now, at this point, you're either subscribed to me or not. And if you're not subscribed to me, let me convince you to hit that button. Because if you do hit that button, here's a list of ways in which your life will suddenly improve.
So did they hear me complaining last week about how...
Probably should have thought those before I started this video. Just hit it anyway. The guy you've just seen there was Pastor Dean Odell. And he is definitely a biblical flat earther. And he's not taken the scientific route. In fact, he's got no interest in...
Here we go. Scientific route. So you'll be calling out TFE for the fraud it is then, right? The scientific route being the scientific method. That's the only method. Go on, whoever that was.
We hear you, Elijah.
All right. Why are all of the popular anti-flat earthers now coming out to chastise quote unquote flat earthers over the 24-hour sun?
Cope. Their cope.
Like, it just seems so orchestrated. I'm looking at their channels, and all the other videos have like 2,000 views, but the flat Earth videos have like over 500,000 views. So odd. Anyway, whatever. Anyway.
Yeah, so, okay, so you're saying, when you say orchestrated, and it's not people like prepackaged subject matters that they can get their teeth into without much thought. So knowing human nature, people are going to cover this in the way they have. Algorithmically, it seems like what this has been presented to all and sundry, and it's massively skewed the numbers when their last videos had 5 to 10,000. This one's got 500,000 when it's covering the TFE subject, yeah? Yeah, algorithmically favoured by YouTube.
In debating the science whatsoever.
I'm not even going to debate camera angles and no footprints in the snow where they were walking and all these weird anomalies.
He's strictly speaking, by saying that you're not going to cover them, I use that trick to Odell. Is that Odell? Is he Dean Odell?
Yes, I think. I can't see it.
I'm not going to suggest that QE's a shill that will lead us into the devastating depths of upward rising hell. I'm not going to suggest those things, Dean. You see, I can do that too. It's just not that subtle. It's less subtle than he thinks.
No, of course he's not interested. And as we'll see in this video, when you're a biblical flat earther, facts and science mean absolutely nothing because we can always fall back on saying stupid stuff like this.
Why is everybody up in arms? See, one reason I've sat back and just watched all the hoopla about all this, because I'm like, I don't care if you see 15 suns in the sky and they do whirlabouts. God's word is true.
Yeah, man, I completely echo your sentiment, Dean. Maybe that's where people are getting this from. Maybe you're the source of all this. I said this in the live show. Did you hear me? Like, there's a certain calm about a certain group of people. Maybe they're all coming from his camp. Because that's, amen, brother, right? If you trust in the word of God, doesn't matter if you see loop-de-loops. Yeah, I completely agree. You put it better than I did earlier on my own show. Now, what's Katz's preemptive rebuttal to this? It means he doesn't trust in science. Well, no, he's explicitly making that clear with his hand on the Bible as he says it.
From Genesis to Revelation. Amen?
This powerful heater can heat up any room in seconds without the higher.
You can go on to claim
I need that heater,
the
by
people
the
that
way.
went to Antarctica to...
Yeah, I was just thinking that. I need a dehumidifier. I'm pretty sure the kids leave the bathroom door open when they're having showers and stuff, and it's just like, it all gets on the cold windows and then they get mouldy. Anyway.
Yeah.
See the 24-hour sun are somehow in league with the devil.
I'm not even going to say, I'm just going to say, they went and they saw a light go around them in a circle that they thought was the sun, or that they knew because they're Satanists, some of them, that Satan would be there to help them.
Now, this idea of putting...
Okay. Is that in character for this Denodal? I am totally unfamiliar with Denodal. He had one debate with someone.
He had a debate. That's Katz's slant. He had a debate with that other idiot preacher where he challenged the other idiot preacher to go to Antarctica and let's see if the sun is there for 24 hours. That's Katz's slant here.
Oh, egg on your face, Denodal. Where are the guns, Dean?
Biblical stories in front of scientific evidence and facts when it comes to
scientific evidence there, Catz. Oh dear, oh dear, oh dear. So you're just a bullshitter back into your old ways of lying with science. The kiddies will be buying this crap, will they? From your spewing, lying tongue.
Explaining the observations of the world around us isn't limited to just Pastor Dean Odell. Even Flatzoid, the guy we've seen as already being a strong proponent of science and the scientific method, even he likes to put biblical ideas ahead of scientific facts.
And in terms of people's actual words and facts of matters, you'll lie about them, won't you, Catz? You told us that this guy would tell us what the sun was. He didn't. His panel professed to not knowing, and then they assessed what you think the sun is and got offered a cartoon by YouTube's algorithm. So you then pretended that that was them finding out for the first time what the heliocentric model would profess it to be. And that was their understanding after the fact, having looked it up on a YouTube search and watched a cartoon. Yeah, your misrepresentation, aka your lies, haven't changed from when you were here last, have they, Catz? Nothing much changes. Leopards don't change their spots. Good.
I'm sorry. He said scientific facts. What scientific facts were there? And I thought science didn't prove things.
Here he
is. It almost sounds like he thinks flat Earth is some sort of a scientific experiment itself. Very weird.
Talking to a pastor about the final experiment, or TFE as he calls it, and the topic moves on to Will Duffy, the leader of the expedition.
What you're saying now is exactly why I have an issue with...
Right, leader of the expedition? Now that is an interesting turn of phrase there, Catz, isn't it? So that's a tacit acceptance of the fraud that you appreciate by using Duffy's new narrative of it being an expedition when challenged by us for it not being an experiment. He said that we could call it an expedition because it isn't an experiment. So you're now calling it Duffy, the leader of the, quote, expedition, not the leader of the experiment as he himself titled it. So you have a tacit acceptance of this fraud then. You know it's not science then, Catz. Otherwise, you'd have labelled it experiment and we'd just call you ignorant. But you're complicit.
With this whole TFE thing and what Pastor Duffy stands for. He's literally playing the game the snake, the serpent did in the Garden of Eden. It's okay to be deceptive, it's not wrong.
I absolutely agree with Flatzoid. Anybody here... There's lots of people disagree with that sentiment because I 100% agree with what Flatzoid's just said. And his comparison was sound. But Duffy telling a congregation that it's okay to deceive and lie. Now, Flatzoid's compared him to the snake in the Garden of Eden. Perfectly legitimate.
And I find big issues with that. And it's sad because...
Go ahead.
He's teaching a flock. And I mean, you as a pastor, that God takes things like that very seriously.
Yeah. Yes.
So we have to pray for Will Duffy, even though we don't agree with him. He does need prayer, guys. He needs to repent and open his eyes that what he's doing is literally a seed from Satan, I'm sorry to say.
Flatzoid not mincing his words there at all. Now, Will Duffy was the leader and funder of the final experiment. He spent an awful lot of his own money taking people down there so they could witness this experiment.
We're back to the experiment again, Catz.
Yeah, so
Can you
leader of
show
the
how
expedition.
this is an experiment?
Sorry.
Yep, go ahead.
No, I'm just agreeing with you. I'm doing their trick while Flatsoid was saying we need to give him our prayers. They're all mumbling, yeah, while he's saying it, and I'm doing it to you. Sorry.
No, it's okay. He said that Catz is back to the experiment again, from expedition to experiment. So, conspiracy Catz, can you tell us how this is an experiment? Can you go from the natural phenomena observed and then take us through the hypothesis construction? Tell us the hypothesis and then give us the experiment, how it was validated? Please, the floor is yours. Would like to hear that.
Yeah, this needs posting to him. So, absolutely correct. He needs to give us the hypothesis. He's the science teacher by his own admission in this video. He's appealing to this being an experiment. Therefore, given that I specifically asked Duffy, it's the only communication I've ever had with him, what's the hypothesis was my question. What's the independent and dependent variable? You're a science teacher. You're affirming this. So you better give it us.
See, I look forward to the year of science. I don't know what QE is going to call it, but going back to basics, because especially just yesterday, we were having conversations, and these numpties are trying to play the same game that they were playing back then, that there are scientific methods in that the one that we're talking about, where you have a hypothesis, well, you observe a natural phenomenon, have a hypothesis, and you test that hypothesis to see if your predicted independent variable affects the dependent variable. And they keep telling us that that's wrong, that that's not really science. There are methods of science. I just can't wait to crack into that this year.
Themselves and dig themselves out of a rabbit hole of paranoia. So I wonder how the good pastor believes that Will should be treated.
Listen, the punishment for this is it's not good. Leading people astray it doesn't end well.
Now, the irony of a Flat Earth YouTube channel accusing somebody else of being misleading isn't lost on me at all. And it is, I suppose, ironic that it is coming from a religious channel as well. Now, not all Flat Earthers out there, it has to be said, are taking a religious approach to refute the 24-hour sun in Antarctica. One such channel belongs to a man called Phuket Word, or as I like to call him, Gigantor, the tallest Flat Earther.
Anybody know this cat?
Phuket Word. I know the name. Isn't he the one with the infrared?
He's talking about Nick.
You guys have shared his videos before.
Yeah, sure. I just didn't. It's the way he said it. It just sounded weird.
In the world.
Hello, researchers, debaters, and debunkers.
Now, in recent years, Gigantor has grown so tall that he...
Why is he calling him Gigantor? Why? I don't get it.
He's really tall.
Yeah, what relevance does it have?
He can't be filmed by a camera built by mere humans, so he now does most of his videos behind PowerPoint. And here he is talking about the final experiment, explaining that if the flat Earth was as the model was presented, with the Antarctic around the outside, then it certainly would be destructive to flat Earth to see the 24-hour sun. However, he's got a simple fix.
What if it wasn't like that, but the map projection that we were presented with for flat Earth was like this, putting Antarctica in the middle of the flat Earth and saying this is how it works, and then you put a sun going around Antarctica like that, and this would appear to fit. So a trip to Antarctica in this case wouldn't prove anything. If this was our map, this would work fine, and they'd have to be making a trip to the North Pole.
Now, to be fair, he's not wrong with that. The only problem he's got is that...
I was going to say, I've made that same example, right? I mean, I did the example with the North prior to them having this example in the South and saying, okay, here's the North, here's the 24-hour sun. Anybody decry that it occurs? No. Okay, everyone agrees. What does it prove? How are you going to utilise it as an evidence? Stone cold silence from everybody, because unless you affirm the consequent, you can't use it to prove anything. I assume that's where Nick's going with this, and at least Conspiracy Catz in this instance has said, well, yeah, fair enough.
that all the flat earthers and everybody in existence already agreed before the trip to Antarctica that we could see the 24-hour sun around the North Pole. So thanks for trying anyway. But as I was reminded recently by Antonio Achilles Castro 4458, Paquette Word isn't the only person trying to come up with an alternative model to explain the 24-hour sun.
No. Nick didn't come up with an alternative model. He presented a South Pole-centric azimuthal equidistant globe projection to show how, when projecting the two antipodal sandwiched planes that the stars have been measured from, north and south, to create a celestial sphere, then create a globe, then create a North Pole-centric azimuthal equidistant projection that's claimed to be debunked, you can just present the South Pole-centric azimuthal equidistant projection and say, look, it works perfectly. What are you going to do now? And what did Catz do? Well, yeah, he's right. Yeah, he is. So what? He's not trying to create a model of a flat Earth with a South Pole-centric azimuthal equidistant globe projection that was created with flat Earth measurements.
Joseph Hamvey is still developing and refining his fine model. But at least...
No, it's not his model, it's not Nick's model. It's an azimuthal equidistant South Pole-centric globe projection that explains the observation perfectly. And how was that model created? Well, after the azimuthal equidistant South Pole projection of a globe, you had to first create the globe with an equatorial plane derived from the minimum angles north and south. One with an actual point you can measure, one without, both projected into a spherical model of the stars that were measured from a flat plane to a flat sky to create two hemispherical position models, one on top of the other, antipodal.
Really?
Then a projected globe created from that. Map. Mathematics, paradigm, whatever you like, get lost.
Yeah, it's not. Catz thinks the map is a model, is a scientific model. He just said that. You missed it.
I did miss that.
By the way.
Good catch. I thought you were calling me on the use of the word model. Obviously, I hadn't, and it was Catz.
Yeah,
I was apologising unnecessarily.
Yeah, I was doing both at the same time.
Perfect. Oh, you're saying I was guilty of it? Oh, well, then get lost.
Antonio was polite and he thanked me for posting my video. Well, Antonio, thank you so much. Go posting your comment too.
Yeah, thanks, Gore. Your 125 attempts to explain how you can have gas pressure without a container Catz. Will you be right back, mate, with the answer to that question? Because you affirmed it right at the beginning of your video. I mean, 125 times not enough for you? Thanks, Gore, answering.
Anyway, let's take a look at Joseph Hamvey's recent developments. Well, first of all, Joseph took a bowl, turned it upside down and shone a torch into it. And this model absolutely perfectly predicts sunrises, sunsets, eclipses, circumpolar stars, night and day, the retrograde motion of planets, the opposite direction of star trails in the northern and southern hemispheres.
Oh, really? This sounds a bit like Neil's list from some cope-seeking blurf earlier. You see, all of these observations derive from the paradigm of heliocentrism within the mathematics of orbital motion. Requires a flat plane base to measure the equatorial minimum to create this system. For you to assert that a globe Earth explains all of it, well, you can try for a few minutes to use that as cope that the Earth is spherical, but that spherical surface was created by way of deriving the sphere from flat Earth measurements. Your maths requires us to measure Earth as a plane. So if you want to call this a victory for the globe, okay, where did the globe come from? Flat Earth measurements. Means nothing. Doesn't mean the Earth's capable of reification into a spherical surface residing in a sky vacuum that after 125 attempts of asking you how that's possible, you haven't given us. You gave up your channels, ran away with your tail between your legs. I'll be right back, you said to Tommy. No, you won't. You'll just return skulk back a few years later and assert the same shite that was debunked by a boxer? A Brummie boxer could debunk you, dickhead. Call yourself a science teacher.
This had it all. But that didn't explain Noah's flood. So what he did...
You couldn't explain gas pressure without a container. Yeah? You had your ass handed to you by a punch-drunk Brummie boxer. Yeah? Someone who's having his head smashed in by people's fists overcame you. Literally, someone who's having their head smacked in on a daily basis was smarter than you when it came to this subject, dumbass. You think you can appeal to your science acumen as being a teacher? Well, how come a boxer managed to whip you around by your short hairs with one question about the second law of thermodynamics? How is that even possible? Why are you even here? You are an embarrassment of a human being, Catz. Literally, a Brummie boxer whooped you around with the second law. Why are you even here? Aren't you embarrassed? Do you think we wouldn't eventually catch up to you on your shitty little channel? Yeah?
Is he took a sphere and he filled it with water inside of a fish tank, and this perfectly...
I just thought I'd give you some thanks, because people might be unaware. Conspiracy Catz bought up a reasonable channel, then outside of YouTube guidelines, gave it to a different videographer, that would be McToon, who then went on to shout my name into the snow when I asked him over 100 times about his 10K challenge flat earth measurements. So it seems your channel that you gave away outside of YouTube's terms of service was actually cursed, Catz. Because you, when you owned that channel, were asked 100 times how you can have gas pressure without a container by me. And then following that, I asked Toon 100 times about his flat earth 10K challenge measurements. So it seems your channel's doomed. Yeah? But thank you very much for getting Toon in a position where he could have plenty of people to watch him scream my name into the snow and tell him he tried to divert with measurements, end quote, Toon, after putting the phone down on me and screaming my name into the snow in Antarctica. Given that it's the subject matter that you're discussing, you're very much connected to it by the videographer who is down there, broadcasting to an audience to scream my name after being asked how Earth's measured flat by him. Meanwhile, you're on a new channel, are you? A shitty little channel. Well, how do you have gas pressure without a container there, Catz? 126 times you've been asked that question. You will be informed of this. The 3 that's happened on this, you will be aware of.
Perfectly predicts the formation of the geological column. In fact, I can't think of one thing that this doesn't do correctly. Except it didn't predict the tide, so it comes out of the fish tank, the dome comes off the top, and we stick some invisible biblical electrodes into it, and now, with the salt water inside, we can see some kind of movement, and that is absolutely everything about the tides perfectly predicted, without any questions remaining. Now, here's where I could use your help. Those models are far too sophisticated for me to poke any holes in, so if you could let me know in the comment section why they might not be absolutely perfect representations and explanations of what we see around us in the real world, then maybe...
Okay, no worries. I mean, you can take your affirmation of that which you are indoctrinating and brainwashing by way of lies that you are well aware of, the children that you educate about the heliocentric model, and we'll take your affirmation of that mathematical paradigm, because we've never actually been presented any model ever, not even by you or anybody else for that matter, and we'll show you how your mathematical paradigm measured Earth flat to achieve it. So any victory that you feel that you can take from here on forth now that you're back, Catz, just know that every single victory you perceive to be a globe Earth win is based on flat Earth measurements, and we'll be taking that victory away from you every single time. Just like with McToon down in Antarctica, down being an antipodal assumption that was based on flat Earth measurements of the stars. So every perceived victory will become a flat Earth victory if you ever cross our path, Catz. Just so you know.
Maybe I'll grow intellectually to the point where I can make a video to debunk them. Until then, I want to turn my attention to the core of the flat Earth community who are trying to claim that the final experiment, the Antarctic 24-hour sun footage, was somehow a hoax. It seems not to be jiving.
Now, this should be more entertaining, right? Because Catz is going to take the piss out of the numpties that we take the piss out of now, isn't he? So maybe we can actually take some joy out of this from this point forward. We will see.
With the biblical side of the flat Earth community, who are just happy to just accept that there is a 24-hour sun and God just did it. Here's Daniel Pratt, very definitely a biblical flat earther, pouring scorn upon those people claiming the 24-hour sun was indeed a hoax.
But these people...
Can I just point something out? Because I don't know if our position's clear on this, and I don't know if anybody on the panel is going to agree with what I say in the next few seconds. Now, while I have stated that I am willing to accept, for the sake of discussion, that there is a 24-hour sun, and indeed I've given the contrapositive, which is I am indeed willing to accept that they faked every last bit of it. What is actually my position? Well, that is that it is impossible for me to know. I can take somebody at their word and I can take the footage at face value and then go from there depending on how the discussion moves forward. But having not personally seen it, it remains semi-contentious. Now, contentious in the respect that I don't know for certain, for sure and without a doubt, that there is a 24-hour sun in Antarctica, but it would seem, based on the information that I'm presented to in video format, that there is one, and when asked to accept that, I can. However, there is a whole subcategory of people that take the video footage, which is not the evidence I observe with my own eyes, and say it's fake. And I can also take every single bit of it as being completely legitimate and proven beyond doubt when they suggest that it's all fake. Because ultimately it's inconsequential, but I haven't seen it for myself. Now, I've come as close as I need to know that there's a 24-hour sun in the north. I've been far enough north to see the majority of it, and then had a first-hand account from somebody live streaming it to me. That's enough for me to know that there is one. Now, personally, I would accept it almost without question at this stage, based on the amount of evidence, what Bob used to call a preponderance. But I still have to accept that ultimately I cannot say without a doubt for sure that that is the case, having not seen it for myself. Now, for the people who out there decry others that do accept it, and vice versa, why? Now, Jaren's in a position where he's like, well, I have seen it for myself. Well, good for you. If you have. But I don't know that either. I can only take him at his word. And the evidence that's been presented, sometimes, some days I look at it and go, yeah, it seems perfectly legitimate. Other days I see corners of screens that people are presenting, and I think, is that a camera anomaly? Or are they actually in a studio? I don't know, because I wasn't there. Anybody got anything to add in that regard?
It's utterly
No, I feel the same
meaningless
way.
anyway.
QE
It's utterly
saying-
meaningless anyway.
QE first. Meaningless, says QE. Anything to add, QE? If not, next.
It's meaningless. It's a fallacious pseudoscientific endeavor. The whole thing, it doesn't matter. Right? You got two logical fallacies wrapped inside a false dichotomy. Those two logical fallacies are affirming the consequent formal logical fallacies on both parts, wrapped inside a false dichotomy, pseudoscientific train wreck. That's it.
I mean,
that's my summation.
That's so
I don't care about the videos.
Perfectly summarized in terms of the fallacious nature of the logic being implied. However, you are a terrorist sympathizer for Umis, and scumbags do use 90% truth, don't they?
Yeah.
I was inviting it open to everybody. That wasn't that will leave too fine a point on my joke about QE if someone else doesn't mention whether or not they agree in terms of my sentiment. I don't know if there is or isn't. I don't really care. It is inconsequential, and the logic used when observing it, if they have, is to affirm the consequent, making it inconsequential. That's QE's point. Anybody else? Someone else piped up and said, yeah, I feel the same. Was it Mush?
Yeah, no, I feel exactly the same myself, because not a single person that went there is trustworthy anyway.
Yeah, I said that about Jaren. It's like you say that you've had somebody leave their wife over this, even though you're actually giving out marriage counselling, so it would seem like you're pooling from that. But I don't trust a word you say, so I'd need everything substantiating really, really, to a really high degree. So yeah, same with Witsit. I don't know about the girl or any of the others. I know that Duffy's a fraud.
I feel
still
the
have
same
not
way.
heard that
I
girl's
don't-
voice before.
Hold on, it's one at a time. We'll get to whoever's next. Whoever that was. Go ahead.
I was just gonna say, I don't know if it's me, but I'll just say I feel the same way. It would be nice to know definitively either way, but there's too much nonsense with this, and I can't accept 100% either way. Not that I really care, because I really don't. But the only thing that makes me care and would want to know is because, yeah, I would like to know certain things about the Earth. I have no problem with that. But this false dichotomy of, oh, because you see it, it means we're on a ball, that's just ridiculous.
Yeah, that's dumb. Like, if 24-hour sun, the vacuum of space stops violating the second law of thermodynamics. Like, who cares? I mean, I don't know. I don't know what was going on down there or where they went. I mean, it's 50-50. Either they were in the studio or they went there. I mean, I literally don't know, and there's no way to actually know unless I go there myself. I mean,
Yeah.
silly.
So, in other words, even after the fact, with the observation being a false dichotomy with an affirming the consequent for or against seeing the sun or not seeing the sun, for affirming the AE map or decrying it, or affirming the Earth's a ball or decrying it, ultimately, the observation itself, even with the evidence presented, you're still left 50-50. And from the sounds of the reports after the fact from Duffy himself, the leader of the expedition / experiment / fraud, has said that, other than Nick, I can't decry Nick. We'll come back to him, though. We'll set him aside as much as it grieves me, right? The people who've been down there, according to him, haven't even relinquished themselves to flat Earth yet. So, according to Jaren himself, when you read between the lines of taking the ship down as he's drowning, he's still saying, well, I'm not going to become a glober, and you guys don't understand big balls, but it is measured flat. You know, he's incorporating all the overcomes. And yeah, they can't explain the Selenian, it's a couple of degrees off, but that's a little bit of refraction. Your model needs 180 degrees. It's that kind of crap that he's spewing as he, like I say, takes as many people down with the ship as possible.
He's a Home Depot moron.
Oh, your song. Where did you get that? At the start of Ballbusters. Hey, Brian.
Chocolate gave it to me.
Hey, Nathan. Hey, Bob.
How does it go? I can't remember, but I remember thinking it was really amusing, like a K-pop, you know, Korean pop music song.
Life is like a Home Depot.
Yeah, exactly. Life is like Home Depot. Great. Right, let's get into this video.
We'll call him the hoax on the internet. The evidence you are bringing is the weakest I think I could see. It is overwhelmingly underwhelming, this evidence you're bringing that it was a hoax. You know, I don't know.
Overwhelmingly underwhelming that it was a hoax. So you very much think they'd offered very little to suggest it was a hoax. I don't understand your position so far, I'm afraid.
Maybe people are limiting God and think that they couldn't have their biblical model and somehow he couldn't produce a 24-hour sun in Antarctica. So it has to be a hoax. I don't know.
And another example of what's becoming...
I see. So he's saying, oh my God, these people who are saying that it didn't happen and must be a hoax because, what, God couldn't produce a 24-hour sun in Antarctica? Now I'm in line with what his sentiment is. Okay, fair enough. That's a fair enough position, isn't it?
Fair enough. Well, I want to see the biblical model first. That's what he's basing his point off of.
No.
Can I see the biblical model?
No, he didn't say. Did he say biblical model? Because I thought he said
yes.
God couldn't achieve a 24-hour sun is what I heard.
Based off a biblical model.
Oh, did he? Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Nah, that's so Dan Pratt, isn't it? You know, I normally get, whenever I watch anything Dan Pratt, I'm like, oh, he's actually really good. And then that last 10% is missing, or ruins it in this case.
Increasingly more obvious, and that is that flat Earth never grew out of a desire to carry out scientific experiments to explain the world around us. It sprang from a belief in a creator, and then any kind of scientific
Huh? What the hell are you talking about, sunshine? You know, there sprang a belief about a creator, really. You think I believe there's a creator? You know that you're in standing violation of the laws of thermodynamics and quantum mechanics. At the very minimum, you glue sniffer cats. My word, dumbass cracker.
observation was shoehorned into that belief. And Daniel, he's not shy about saying the truth, that the most important thing to him when it comes to flat Earth is finding God.
Heartbroken and terrified for those that have been in the flat Earth topic and haven't yet found Jesus out of it.
What's wrong with this? Right. Now, it isn't what I'd do, but why is he about to mock him for this? Don't get it. This seems low.
Well, because Catz dumbass atheist evotard. That's why.
Flat Earth has done you absolutely no good.
And again, I kind of agree with his sentiment. You know, as a Christian, from Dan Pratt's perspective, he's saying if you've come to this subject and haven't found, we would say the creator, God, he's saying Jesus, however you want to phrase it is irrelevant. He's kind of, it's in his tone. I'm with you all the way, Dan. Your sentiment, while it wouldn't be what I do on my show, yeah, man, why not? I don't totally agree with you.
I don't understand this.
You don't understand why Dan would be like, man, if you've come to this subject and you haven't found your way to the creator, to paraphrase him.
He says Jesus.
He said Jesus, but I understand his sentiment.
Oh, he's just talking about, all right, I get that. So he's saying that you haven't found yourself your way to the creator.
Yeah, I'm paraphrasing on his behalf. You can have me over a barrel on that if you like.
No, I'm not having you over a barrel. Sorry, Tucker?
We can't hear you, Brian, because everyone keeps rumpusing you. Can you get your point out?
Thank you. Yeah. I'm not critiquing you, Nathan. I just didn't understand what he was talking about.
Okay, to make me sympathetic to his position and not say, okay, well, you're pigeonholing this as for specifically Jesus, which is how it came across as your critique. I'm saying if I paraphrase what he's saying slightly, it would be to say, if you've come to this subject, that's flat Earth, and not just stumbled by pure happenstance on the fact there's a creator, then my God, my head hangs for you. That's the sentiment I'm getting from him.
Okay, I picked them up wrong then. I was thinking that if you haven't come to this subject and you're not already a Christian, then, you know, it's like to me, that made no sense. It's like being a Christian or not being a Christian doesn't determine the geometry of the world. That's what
I see.
Yeah.
Again, that's why I paraphrased it with, I wouldn't put this sentiment across. And if I do, I'd say, look, if you, as a debater, argue that Earth is measured flat and then say, just like it says in the Bible, I'd cheer for you. But if you lead with that, it's inconsequential. Your faith in Jesus in this instance matters not in terms of the geometry of Earth. But I don't think that's what he's actually leading with. He's just saying, like I would say, look, if you've come to the subject, and you didn't realise as a consequence of that there's a creator, my God, what have you been looking at? How can you not have just, like, had a eureka moment almost instantaneously? For me, there was a few maybe skeletons left in the closet that I didn't want to face, that I'm like, maybe I'll face that awful truth sometime in the future. Deep down I knew I'd have to face it at some point. But Dan's kind of, I want to lean into what Dan's saying rather than criticising him by using Jesus as his narrow, correct for you, Brian, way of saying if you haven't found Christianity, which kind of leaves a bit more of a bitter taste because it's narrow.
And look, I don't want to hold this up. I just, it's for me, it just confused me. That's all for a minute. That's all.
Fair enough.
Yeah, I'm not attacking anyone here. I was a bit confused as to what he meant. Okay, thank you.
I pray for you.
Asana helps you identify. Try it for free.
Never. So with all that in mind, let's focus our attention now on the three main characters left in the Flat Earth circus. We've got Mark Sargent, deep inside the rabbit hole, and Witsit Gets It. Surely these three people will make it very clear that they are basing their belief in a flat Earth on science and scientific observations.
No, you see that right there? You see that right there? Yeah. Like, and that's what makes me feel like, you know, Jaren, even Witsit now, like, they've been shills all along, because you have the proponents, the anti-flat earthers, that also don't really talk about anything globe. They're just here to argue against our points that often take them off of any globe rhetoric anyway. You have them popularizing how stupid the shill flat earthers are. And it's like this controlled thing where the normies get to watch that interaction, and he's leaving us out. Like, we're not the hottest shit in this fucking corner
of
the internet.
No swearing.
Sorry. Sorry.
I agree with you, other than one little tiny detail.
Tell
which is
him,
that
tell
you're alluding that there's a hidden hand that's guiding this process, and I don't think it's the case. People will, excuse the phraseology, gravitate towards a new guru that's got new answers to replace the old ones that are untenable. And bringing people back in line with that is the natural ebb and flow of this process. But it's just led by the individual or groups thereof, as opposed to a hidden hand that you're kind of suggesting it's like preordained to happen as a plan that lots of people have got together and then put into effect. Nah, this is the natural ebb and flow of people who want to remain in ignorance. In the case of people who are just, no, we've got it sorted already. You know, Ball Earth's good enough. It explains this, explains that, explains this. What have you got for your flat Earth? Oh, it hasn't. Well, then it's a ball. Let's get on with my day. That's good enough. Which I described on the live show as just laziness. But how we naturally interact and seek out affirmation for our biases isn't a hidden hand.
But it goes beyond that, doesn't it? Because whereas a video that's been posted for months gets bupkis, and the video that, you know, has this controlled conversation with these controlled players gets the most viewership.
Okay,
that's not an accident.
No, I've got to take it all back because this got, I think it was Chocolate actually that brought it up earlier, Eli, right? The videos that you'll see that people are covering prior to TFE and Flat Earth debunking get 5,000, 10,000 viewers from these medium-sized YouTube channels compared to us, I mean. And then they do a Flat Earth video and it gets 10 to 15,000 more views than the one that they did previously, which says algorithmically it's being favoured. That is a hidden hand, so I've got to take it all back. I just, you know, so way to crap all over my bonfire. Well done.
And not in some biblical fairy tale. Well, luckily for us, we have a clip here of all three of them on the same video call. And we start off with, deep inside the rabbit hole, a friend of Jaren, who is now no longer a flat earther, saying this.
No longer what? A true earther? Because they weren't flat earthers to begin with. We're flat earthers. They're not, right? They've been abusing flat earth to give people consultation and marriage advice and talk about the hidden truth of the world that they're concealing behind paywalls. So their abuse of the subject doesn't make them flat earthers, they're true earthers. As for friends, no, Whitsitt and Jaren are business partners.
They're having people on that say that they used to be flat earthers, but after TFE, they're no longer flat earthers. And no,
you weren't one anyway, Dave. It could be a really big ball, end quote you.
Never seen any of these people. That you can.
Do you know that Catz? You know, this person that you're representing as though he's our representative as a flat earther? It could be a really big ball, end quote, David Weiss. When asked, do you know for sure and without a doubt the earth is flat, end quote, Jordan Peterson? Is it Jordan Peterson? What's that guy's name? Black guy, quite old.
Jesse Peterson.
Jesse Peterson. Get there in the end. When asked by Jesse Peterson, I'll start that again. Do you know for sure and without a doubt that the earth is flat? He was asked 20 times that question, Dave Weiss, and eventually answered, it could be a really big ball. So he's not a flat earther. The only flat earther is Mark. A DJ Curious is a nobody. I don't know who he is.
Obviously, tell that they're.
Go ahead.
Sorry, just a second. I didn't want to step in when Eli and you were going at it. It's not that. It's that these people that he's pointing at, Mark Sargent, Mark, David Weiss and Whitsitt, are easy targets. He's not pointing at us. He's talking about science as well in his video. These are easy targets, and that's why he's focusing on them, not because of any other reason. It's that if he attacks us over on this side, then he knows he's in hot water. That's the problem. So it's just easy. It makes it easier for him to make a video and not have to deal with any of us if he doesn't address any of us.
They're lying, but that's the narrative that they're pushing. Fake, ex-flat earthers now.
Well, maybe, deep inside the rabbit hole, if you'd spoken to your personal friend Jarenism since he came back from Antarctica and witnessed a 24-hour sun and left the flat earth cult, you might have heard him say something like this.
If you are a flat earther or in the flat earth or following flat earthers, I'm just telling you, I've been in this for 10 years. It's going nowhere.
Oh, man. See,
don't get me wrong.
Go on.
Sorry. They're not a part of the hidden hand. They're the useful idiots. Just so you guys understand me. They're benefiting from the algorithmic love. So naturally,
be more
of course,
specific.
you know.
Just start again. Be more. Who is they, and how are they benefiting? But more specifically, who are you talking about?
When we talk about Jaren now, or Conspiracy Catz, or anybody where we're like, oh man, why do they get so many views? It's them. They're conspiring. No, it's not them. They're just useful idiots. Like anybody else on YouTube whose channels explode when riveting topics like politics and things come up, but they're not really on the mark. And you're like, something's off about this. They're just useful idiots. I don't think that they're a part of a grand scheme, though. But the algorithms and whoever these programmers are, though, I'm just saying.
I'd like to say something about Jaren's statement there. In some ways, I agree with him. Flat Earth is going nowhere. I was listening to the live show right after it was finished, and Neil brought up a list of things from a board. I don't know why, Neil, you were doing that, why you were reading out this person's comment, but this person made, like, no one addressed anything that was said in this person's comment. So anyone who's a listener is going to go, all right, all those things are explained by Glow. The guy, like, I at least thought someone would stop him when he said eclipses and time zones. No. Nobody said anything. And Nathan, you were saying a lot of stuff on the live show that was completely incorrect. So it's not going anywhere because no one's correcting these ballers. It's just going to continue on the way it's been continuing on. And now the baller is becoming more and more confident that the TFE came out. 6 months ago, they would say there must be a force present, but they wouldn't claim what force it was. Now they're all claiming the force is gravity. Day by day by day, they're gaining confidence and they're promoting rubbish again. So Flat Earth, maybe it is going nowhere because I don't see it going anywhere because there's no changes.
Yeah, we need to.
People are just
we need to take ownership of that. Well, let's not fall into our old bleating ways of saying, well, the flat Earth's going nowhere, because up until now, the flat Earth community has been gathered up by gurus and bullshitters with ether and azimuthal maps, so that when these sorts of things can happen for people like Conspiracy Catz to gain confidence in their previous assertions that they will and have always, Brian, rinsed and repeated. How do you overcome that? That's the thing moving forward. Well, you educate the masses of flat earthers in the better arguments. Well, you can, and I'm sure we will at some point, moan about the algorithmic preclusion of that. In other words, the hidden hand of YouTube algorithms does not want flat earth to be prevalent in the mainstream mind's eye. Therefore, we're fighting a losing battle, which is your sentiment, and I'm agreeing with you. So the only thing you can do is attempt other means of rising up beyond the algorithm to lead flat earthers into decent arguments so that these things don't become rinse and repeatable, because they've been addressed and thwarted so many times from so many people in so many different places that they wouldn't dare bring up gravity as a force again, as you're suggesting that as the example. And I agree. Well, we just got to make ourselves the new gurus with the better argument points, aka statements of outright fact, for the new people who come into the subject. Now, that's a bit of a catch-22 when you're algorithmically censored, but I'm sure moving forward we will attempt to overcome those things. The book being one of them. There's only one section that needs to be done, and it actually requires a bit of Brian input on it, just so you know.
I've got an announcement to make. Hang on a second.
I'm talking to Brian.
I'm not sure if you're aware. Sorry to cut you off there. I'm not sure if you're aware that Behind the Curve 2 is coming out, the sequel. Okay? Did you know that?
Behind the Curvier Curve?
Yeah, the one with the Jaren that was, and Mark Sargent was in the first one. There's a part 2 coming out, Behind the Curve 24-Hour Sun. That's the title. Coming out maybe next month or March, but coming soon.
Behind the curve 2. This time it's personal.
Electric boogaloo.
Have you got? I have a reply to Nathan. If you want to go first, chocolate, I'll go after you.
No, I want to hear Brian's response, because I'm saying to Brian, we need to take ownership of this, become the leaders, and the only thing that I can think of to expand our horizons and get better arguments out is the book, and it's so close to being finished.
Okay, then. When I listened to the live show earlier, all I heard was a load of globe stuff. That's all I heard. Nothing but globe. What you were trying to get across to the audience was clear to you, Nathan. But all I heard was the promotion of the globe.
What did I promote? How did I promote the globe on the live show? What are you talking about?
You were talking about how the celestial observation, basically, from an outsider point of view, all they heard was all these celestial observations only work on a globe. If I was there, I would have said to you, could you show me how all that works with time zones, Nathan?
Well, I'll just give you the picture that's on screen now. I'm saying in terms of the best way we have derived flat plane measurements to create mathematical paradigms to describe this stuff with, all originates in flat Earth measurements. That was my point. So earlier when Catz was saying, well, I take this as a win, or when Neil listed off the things that, well, globe explains this, it's like, well, where was the globe created with the flat Earth measurements that are at its origin? That's my point. Now, if you're saying that I didn't reiterate that enough, and what came across more to the audience was just me detailing how the after the flat Earth measurements, reified globe that is being claimed to be a win works, well, then fair enough. I'll take that as under advisement and reiterate the flat Earth measurements at its heart more often during that process.
Well, when you bring up things like orbits, at that point, you're begging the question for a globe. If a glober wants to bring up orbits, you can point out to the glober that they require a flat plane for the mathematics of those orbits. There's no point telling an audience that.
I agree.
You're going way past the point there.
No, I completely agree.
This thing you're saying.
Glad you've said it. I'll tell you why I'm doing it, because I've suddenly it's like, you know, when you see a route back into old knowledge. It's like when you've learned how to overcome a globe argument and suddenly you want to get your opponent to utilise that argument so you can overcome it. It's a bit like that. We've, in the last couple of years, been figuring out more and more and more how the origin measurements of a flat Earth do translate into heliocentrism. Now, you've got to violate the original measurement to make that assertion if you're going to reify it, but ultimately it means that you understand the path from flat to globe, making the description of a globe useful in reverse when your opponent uses it. Well, I'm proactively using it. You sound like me 18 months ago when I'm shouting at Anthony going, stop begging the question on their behalf, right? Well checked. We got credit earlier, you weren't here, Brian, but Mush was saying that he liked this show because even if you get something wrong internally, you get checked. And even me as a host, I'll get checked. It's like, what you're basically saying is don't beg the question for them. Don't flex your heliocentric knowledge just because you know it leads to a flat Earth, because all the audience is hearing is globe, 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 orbit, orbit, orbit. And you're right.
Well, that comment that was read out by Neil, just 1 second, Chocolate. That comment that was read out by Neil, right? Nobody checked anything that was in that comment. Now, I don't know why it was read out, but nobody checked any part of that comment. And then, Nathan, you spoke about Kepler and Copernicus and Huygens and what they did concerning the heliocentric model and blah, 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 and there's all for Easter. That's only a story, Nathan, that's made up. That's just a big story. Before Kepler, they already knew the movements of the celestial bodies. Before Kepler, that's where Kepler got his information concerning the sun. It's like, no, but the things that you were bringing up concerning Kepler and all them, that's debunked by time zones. The very thing that wasn't checked in Neil's comment. You see what I'm saying? If you listen back to the whole live show, it's like, the globe works. That's all I heard for a whole hour.
Yeah, you're right.
Yes, you're literally still speaking about the globe. When you're like, it's okay, as I said, to point out to someone who wants to bring up orbits and say, well, you're going to need a flat plane for those orbits. That's totally fine, because that stops them in their tracks, because they have to admit mathematically they need a flat plane. But if you're bringing that stuff, like, it's your show, you can do what you want. But I'm just, from an outsider, I was listening and going, what is going on?
We were reading comments written to Jaren and sickening over it. I think that's what we're doing.
No.
Yeah, but why though? Why was no one checking that and was in those comments?
You're being told off, Neil. Right.
I had to read the whole thing off. I wanted to get it out and show you what's going on, and then you could do what you want from there.
Trying to shift all of this onto Neil. Right. We, Neil and I are getting told off by Brian, and rightly so. Right. We didn't check any of that stuff in that. We didn't check.
Good, because we're supposed to be in the comments correcting fallacious logic, bad arguments. Oh, I don't think I'm the first person that said that.
Yeah, he's got.
No, we're not supposed to be in the comments. We're not supposed to be in the comments. That's not correct. What's supposed to be happening is during shows when they're live or like this, we're supposed to be correcting the rubbish. Yeah, not in the comments. They're only one of. You could be one of 4,000 comments. It doesn't mean anything.
It got read out on the show though, didn't it? So yeah.
I just want to say, like, Brian, I can understand your frustration because, yeah, the glow is there because they have a little battery in their back now, right? They feel like they can reiterate the old and busted arguments, right? Personally, I say let them, because look how far those arguments have gotten them, right? So now they recently put their best foot forward, their greatest endeavor into providing evidence for a globe Earth. And look what they've got, an observation of the sun somewhere.
That was read out.
And also,
to
Brian,
the,
Neil,
that
just
was
1
read out
second.
to the people on this show that know better.
Neil, if the comment says globe Earth says this, globe Earth explains that, wouldn't it be just easier then to point out that the globe Earth can't talk and explain anything, and the second the explanations are meaningless, rather than going to defending all these useless?
Outstanding performance. Bring him here. I'll decorate him.
Well, that's why I emphasize the word explanation. And we were just reading out a comment among the hundreds that are given to Jaren since he switched over. It was a mocking, because everybody in this audience knows that everything that was read was nonsense.
Yeah, but Neil, there's a lot of new people listening to the show, and there will be someone who might listen into the show, who might even be influential. Might have a big enough channel, they listen in and they hear you just read out all that stuff. And as far as that person is concerned, if they don't know any better, time zones, eclipses, this thing, that thing, sunsets, all that's complete rubbish. I could have taken every single point there and turned it on.
Well, you should have been in here then.
No, I shouldn't have been. Every single point and turned it on his head. Not one critique of that whole. If you're going to read out something like that, you must critique it.
Yeah, fair point.
Wouldn't the critique be that very? I mean, in the comment was said round Earth explains, right? We all know that's silly, but couldn't the critique just be, well, this so-called round Earth that they're talking about comes from flat Earth measurements?
That's what I did, but no.
Do we have to go through each and every one?
Yeah,
each and every one.
Yes, that's what he's saying. And Neil, just take it on the chin. I have. Fair comment, right? Each and every one of those points, if you just hear them rattled off, it sounds like bullets coming out of a gun. That we're not addressing, Neil. Why would you brace against this? Like every audience member knows.
You were supposed to address it. I read it out for you, buddy.
Oh well, thanks for firing all those bullets at me.
Look, I don't want to make this thing. I don't want to make it all about that. I don't want to go on about it. We're looking at Catz video. I didn't hear you.
Go on about it. I'm just going on about it.
You're the one going on about it. Stop going on about it then.
I don't want to continue making it about that.
all those bullets that were fired were stopped, like Neo stopping those bullets. The moment he realized the Earth was measured flat.
No.
That's it. All of that shit is done.
Second time you've done that. No. Oh, God, I want to draw a line under it. I just want to... Yeah, right. You've done that second time. Chocolate. No. Yeah, that is what I did. But the point Brian's making is, for the audience, Neil's defence is the same, right? Oh, well, everyone watching already knows... No, you can't automatically assume that. If those things come up, you've got to unpack them. You're firing them into the show... Now, I've got to take it on the chin and go, well, I should have unpacked each and every one of them. I can't control what you fire into the show or moan that you fired them after the fact. Brian's saying you need to unpack each and every one of them. Now, me trying to just deal with them all by going, well, that all requires flat Earth measurements, isn't enough. It doesn't put enough emphasis on each one of those seemingly winning points that you've rattled off into the show. So I completely agree with Brian. Now, it's perfectly acceptable for me to start pointing out in rebuttal that they'll need a flat Earth for their claim if they're proactively bringing it up to me for the globe. That is the predominant paradigm, let's not forget. For me to bring it up, oh, right, well, that globe works because of flat Earth measurements. That's not satisfactory. The globe just hears the audience just hears a load of globe wins. You've got to take this on the chin. Brian's correct. Can we move on?
Yeah, I also want to say I feel like Brian's correct because specifically a guy in 24/7. Now he might be just a pretender, but his one argument is elevation angles, but Indio says he can't even get that right. And that's like these flat earthers that use buzzwords. I'm not saying it's our fault for not.
Hold on. I know what you're talking about.
Well, hold on in the middle of me trying
India's
to
a fucking moron.
complete my thought so that it's completely
stop
understood.
swearing. Eli needs to get to the end of the statement before everybody jumps on him. Go ahead, Eli.
All I'm saying is you have all of these watered down flat earthers that mean well, but can't really carry the argument. We should be definitely unpacking everything at every opportunity. I agree with Brian.
I should have read them one at a time. End of story. Sorry.
Yeah, what Indio ended up doing was such BS because I don't think he comprehends the elevation angle argument.
It was you. It was you, huh?
He goes, oh, let me get the flat earther off his script because he can't work without a script. And then he goes, what's my elevation angle to Polaris if I'm in Johannesburg, South Africa? And it's like, that's a malformed question, you freaking moron.
Well, I think his point was that, some flat earthers are so rigid that no matter what the globe earther says, they're just going to go elevation angles. They don't know how to segue it in. They don't know what it has to do with anything. And I agree with them because I've seen that.
Yeah.
You can't just go elevation angles, just kill your globe, and you're not explaining exactly what the process is. You can't do that.
Yeah, that's what ballers rely on. They'll do that. Well, refraction. What do you mean refraction? That destroys your argument. Nah, that's the end of your argument. Okay, explain it to me. Refraction.
Right. Exactly.
Which is that's a little unfair because that's not what I did. Because there was I can't remember who it was. There was a glober in there, and he was trying to tell me that an elevation angle and an angle of altitude are completely different things. So, and then I got shit for having to look up a definition because I wanted to get the definitions word for word. Everyone goes, "Oh, he doesn't know the definitions." It's like, no, I know the definitions. I have to make sure they are exactly precise. Otherwise, I'll get lambasted for it. If I say one word wrong, if I get one word out of order in the definition. I mean, that's really the whole crux of what we were talking about. Then it turned into a shit show, and then I got accused of being a glober, got banned from the server, and then I had to prove to the server mods that I'm not a fucking glober and that I'm not an agent. It's absolutely retarded.
And I'm surprised Indio got like that over that. And plus, we heard you in action against Jaren. We know you know what you're talking about.
No, they were using that as proof that I'm a glober. They go, look at your how you went on with Jaren. You're clearly a glober. I'm like, what the frig are you talking about?
You need to hear that. Can we hear that?
What we've heard,
I want to listen.
We have covered you, Vaxi, with Jaren, have we not, on the show? I thought we did cover it.
No, I want to hear this interaction they're talking about.
We have definitely covered it.
Yeah, I got it.
No, I was talking about with Indio.
Oh, with India.
Yeah.
Oh, my bad. I thought you were talking about something else.
Recorded.
Right, I'm going to have to get a cup of coffee. Can someone keep order just for 2 or 3 minutes just while I get a cup of coffee?
I'll take charge.
Jolly good.
Can I just
No
say?
kidding.
Can I just say that? All right,
just say what? Oh, you're not going to go on and on about what you went on and on about? Is that what you're going to say?
No, it's going to just refer to what Eli said. If you're going to bring up any topic, right? If I say elevation angle, right? I have a wealth of backing for that, right? I can go all the way to vernal equinox, no bothers. But if you don't have all that, don't bring up the elevation angle. right? If you're against voters who know something, just little statements like that. Well, it doesn't matter what it is. I'm just using that as the example, right? Doesn't matter what it is. Don't bring up something unless you have all the details. If you don't know what I mean by vernal equinox,
I don't know. I don't know about that. Each is specific. You could kill anybody with just an elevation angle. You don't have to know about circles or circles of equal elevation and stuff. Just if you're proficient with the elevation angle argument, and it's just this argument, elevation angles, you can destroy them.
What about what about if they say we use a tangent and you don't know how to deal with that?
Oh, well, you're going to have to know their
breaking the question. That's simple.
My point is, you need to have, you can make your argument simplistic and argue from a simplistic point of view, but you need to know all the little things you need to know.
Yeah, you said that before. I disagree with that, but I understand what you're talking about. Not everyone's going to be that proficient.
That's why it's important to have a full panel.
Not everyone's going to have that proficiency, Brian.
Well, they should have.
I understand what you're saying, though. If you're going to step out here, you better make sure you got your ducks in a row. I grant your point.
You know what? I said this in the past about Discord, and I'll say it again. What I find with Discord is there's so much arguing going on Discord that people reach a plateau of learning and they don't go past that plateau with topics.
Yep, you're right.
Yeah. And they end up with a lot of people arguing from day to day and no one winning because everyone is holding, or there's no outright, if you know what I mean. Everyone's holding the same level of knowledge as they had yesterday. And that's a problem.
That is a problem, but you're not going to be able to fix that.
Oh, no.
Like Vaxy Wax, he's got many problems. You're not going to be able to fix him.
I have lots of problems.
He's learning. Yeah, but
it's for those who have the knowledge. It's for those who have it, who have the actual knowledge dialed down to keep on moving forward and advancing, and then the ones who are slow will gradually catch up. That's
I was talking about you too,
That's a
Jen.
natural progress.
I was talking about
again,
you
please?
too, Jen.
Yeah, I know.
I was talking about you too, by the way, just so you know.
Okay, thank you. I
I
appreciate
always felt like I got a fairly decent grasp on the section argument and how elevations work. Yes.
Facts. I was just messing with you, man.
Oh no, I know. But see, the main reason why it turned into a crap show was because the Glover I was talking to said that he was going to prove that an elevation angle and an angle of altitude are completely different, and he started saying one was sentient and one wasn't. It was just a bunch of nonsense. And he said I said, okay, can you back that up with citation? And he goes, no, F you, Google it. And then this is where I made the mistake, because I needed the definitions anyway, because I was going to use them. When I went and Googled it, that's when I started getting creamed, because I called him out on an elephant hurling fallacy, but then I supposedly put my tail between my legs and then got the definitions, but I needed the definitions anyway. And listening back, the guy was too inebriated to type on Google to get a definition.
Were you talking to Adam?
So why would Indio say something like that? Let's see if we can get you off your script. I find that very insulting.
Yeah, I find that strange.
Because people are on a script, and I'm tired of flat earthers not being good enough. And I often, my main role when I go into 24/7 is to literally interrupt everyone and go, what the heck is going on? I've been listening to this for an hour. It's boring. You guys have gotten nowhere. Okay, muting you. You're a flat earther. Don't care. Muting you. Now, what seems to be the problem?
Sounds like you and Brian need to get a room.
I didn't find that. When I heard Vaxy Waxy taking Jaren to task, I didn't find any flaws. I thought he did well.
About that.
Yeah, but I'm saying, I'm using that as an
that
example.
may be true.
That's not talking about.
That may be true.
Shut up. That may be true. That may be true. We need to get the audio. I'm in charge here.
Yeah,
we need to get the audio,
let me grab it. Hold on.
Not everything is about flooring.
Oh, he's back. I took control as best I could.
Nathan is good at that. Hey, I appreciate those little funny quips that you do.
Thank you.
What do you mean by that?
He was talking
We're
to
here
me.
to amuse you like a clown? We're only here for funny things?
Did you even say I have the con?
I have the con. Are we going to finish this Catz video and then get to Waxy's embarrassment?
Yeah, let's do
Again,
that.
if you want to remain here for 10 years and get nowhere, you're in the right spot. Just be a flat earther. You will get nowhere. You will accomplish nothing. You'll lose more friends. You'll lose more family.
I can say that is false for me on all counts. Yeah, I'm paying off my mortgage. Admittedly, I'm struggling, but I've achieved what I wanted in life. That is to say, to see my kids through their education in their tender years that you can't get back. I wanted to experience all of them. Being a bit poor, that's self-induced to a degree because I have managed to pay my mortgage through being a flat earther on YouTube. Struggle.
You know what?
So,
you know what? When I wake up in the morning,
I'll get told off by Brian if I don't get this out. Right, I've got to address all of the points. All of them.
Can you let Nathan
Where should I
share?
post the video?
This is very personal with Nathan. Can you let him share, Elijah?
Yeah, I've made more friends. Some I'm thinking of getting rid of, like Eli.
I mean, I agree. I wake up in the morning, every now and again, you have a friend that pops their head up and they go, "What's this flat earth nonsense you believe in?" And I go, "Oh." And then, I just pick anything. I'll pull sustainable by design. I'll have them read it, and I'll say, "What do you think that means?" That's all I'm saying.
Right.
I'm not talking
when I
about
wake up,
walls.
I also sometimes hallucinate that I've got a talking penis.
Oh,
look, listen. When Jaren wakes up, because that was going to be the second part of it, and he talks to a family member about, oh my God, the 5G, and by the way, the Earth is flat, and the Bible, and the dome, and the this, that, and the third. Yeah, people are going to tell you to get the freak out of their house. They're not going to tell me to get the freak out of their house for showing them a definition. See what I'm saying? It's a different approach.
Great point. But Jaren was talking about true earthers, not flat earth. See, he keeps getting confused between his cult of true earthers and flat earth. That's what he has an issue with. And Home Depot.
Of flat earthers is astounding. Nobody believes anything. You don't have to believe anything when you're in flat earth.
True.
This is the problem when your mic's clipping. So when people make a copy of a copy of a copy, it's fine. But by the time you've got about a fifth generation, which Catz has obviously clipped, it's already distorted, and it gets worse and worse and worse. So Jaren's horrible overloaded mic might not seem that distorted on his live stream, but by the time you get to this, it sounds horrendous.
That's an amazing assessment.
You don't have to believe anything because you don't have a model. We don't have a map. You just kind of go through it, and if something comes up that doesn't match our worldview, we just kind of say it was fake and move on to the next thing and say, water lies flat. I cannot associate myself with these people or consider them smart ever again. I don't want to be called a flat earther. I don't want to be associated with people
who
can't see reality in front of them. Every single person that I used to think was a good...
So why did you take all the cash off them? You were surrounded yourselves by flat earthers and getting money off them. Only to say, I don't want to be around these people. What, the ones that gave you all the money for the consultations and the dick pills?
And the supplements.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
Researcher. From level Earth observer to plain truth to don't sphere the truth.
I'm conflating his supplement sales and his she'll thank you for it into dick pills.
Yeah, what's all this stuff about not a good researcher? I've been hearing this now for the past couple weeks. Not a good research. What have you researched, Jaren? NASA photos? You should have stuck with that. You don't know what research is. You dumbass cracker. Go back to your true earth. You and your spooning boy, Mr. Ping Pong Golf Ball. Clowns.
Truth. to Eric Dubé, to you name it. They all turned out to be trash.
Sister. I'll name it your sister. How about that, Jaren?
Now, if you've made it this far and you're a flat earth,
What
was that?
It's a ping pong golf ball.
then first of all, well done for putting up with it, or maybe not well done. Maybe it's just that you can't figure out how to get the video off the screen. Both are probably equally likely. But if you...
What the hell is he muttering about? Anybody know what this cat's muttering about?
Oh, he's trying to paint flat earthers as little doofuses and stuff that don't know how to do simple things. Is that all you got, Catz? You little clown.
If you have made it this far,
another one that needs
maybe think twice about accrediting Mark Sargent, Witsit Gets It, and Deep Inside the Rabbit Hole as being people that put scientific facts before a religious belief in the flat Earth. I've taken...
What might they be?
Yeah, just for Dave Weiss, see how these are absolutely violating you with your lack of science acumen, Dave. Yeah? Just thought I'd point that out. Yeah. Dave Weiss, like Jaren and the rest of them, they all were sat down and attempted to be educated by either myself or Quantum Eraser in what the scientific method was. Yeah? But the only one that was receptive was Mark. Notice how he's not catching much flack here. Dave Weiss not knowing what science is absolutely catching every bit of flack he deserves, though, isn't he?
You know what? I'm beginning to think there should have been... Witsit had the right sentiment. He's just the wrong agent. I think one of us would have done well for our cause to be there. Because Lord knows they wouldn't be able to group us in with them, because all I would have been saying is, oh, look at this elevation angle. I'd have just been, that's all I would have been doing. I'd have been so monotonous with it.
I absolutely agree. I vote Eli goes down next time. Who votes Eli?
They would not have taken him there. They would not have taken any of us. Don't you realize? I know you realize that.
Down where?
That could be true.
Down being the antipodal assumption of a globe. Brian.
I keep saying down. Over there, they would have never taken anybody from our crew to Antarctica. Not a chance.
Well, they would have if Witsit and Jaren didn't go. Because none of the other big name flat earthers were having nothing to do with it, including Nation. So they would have brought you and me, Neil, in a flash. But it wouldn't have the same impact because we're not as well known as Jaren and Witsit.
That's what I'm saying. Unless you got a big channel, they're not going to take you. They weren't going to take Nathan either because they would not be able to get away with what they got away with.
Oh, they would have brought Nathan, all right, but they would have tried to limit. They would have brought him, all right. They definitely would have brought Nathan.
I disagree.
They would have.
I think that was a big blank that he shot out there to let everybody think. I invited Nathan. It's proven. He says he invited Nathan and Nathan refused.
Yeah, but besides that point, right, I know that's lies, right? The point being is that they would have brought a couple of flat earthers, right? Maybe other people like Lisbeth, who people didn't really know, right? And it could be me and you, because to a lot of people out there, they don't know me and you, right? They would have brought us. It doesn't matter. They would have brought someone, but the same impact would not have been there if Jaren and Witsit didn't go, because the two of them have such big channels. None of the other people in the flat earth arena that have big channels were having nothing to do with it, except for them two. If they hadn't gone, they would have had to find two people like me and you, Neil, and it wouldn't have had the same impact. That's the point.
Exactly, because they can use their names to speak against them. Yeah. Mm-hmm. If they use our names, I mean, look, we have a huge impact, but algorithmically, our numbers are low, unfortunately. And if they would have used us as punching bags, well, they would have gotten a fistful of thorns. So they wouldn't have done that.
I think the right move was nobody. I think the right move was not one flat earther should have went. And technically, no flat earther did go.
Me, Eli. You can see me, Eli, fighting him.
Right? Oh my God, that would have been so popular. The two black guys from FED go to Antarctica.
They'd have both been killed.
Yeah, I agree. I
No,
agree with
the
Neil's
other
last
black
comment.
guy, he's still
By the
alive.
way,
We just have no freaking clue who that is.
Look, that wasn't the
by the way,
story.
Neil's
They
last
weren't painting
comment
this
was
as a horror story.
very on point. Neil's last comment on Nathan not being elected was right on the money. None of us could have gone because we would have caused all kinds of ruckus there. We've all the facts, and if they want the physical side, they would have got that as well. So they wouldn't have taken us. And Neil is absolutely correct. They couldn't have taken us. No chance.
I would have to say that they would have had to bring somebody. The point being is that conspiracy cats, let's just say if Neil and Eli went, or me and Eli, or me and Neil, or whichever, would conspiracy cats be making the video he's making today, putting the same emphasis on Neil or me or Eli that he is on Jaren?
No. Has he mentioned DJ Curious even once?
Exactly. That's the thing, right? So the emphasis would for him for conspiracy cats to even make that video, he needs to have somebody who's well known enough that he can put an emphasis on. So they would have brought somebody, but if they hadn't got Jaren with it, they would have had no other big flat earthers.
Another point to make there, to add to Brian's point, even if he used Jaren and Whitsitt, it wouldn't have been effective if they weren't complete and utter numpties.
Yeah, exactly.
Just knitted them together for you. Make of it what you will, and let me know in the comments.
People forget. I think this place was built with an illusion in mind. Not that God was trying to trick us, but that we made it towards, no, you're not going to figure it out that easy.
I'm also very interested in...
Not a single word of critique of Mark. Again, perfectly reasonable statement so far. I like Mark.
Really laying out that we need to address our limitations and being humble. The creator made something that you could never make it. Just be humble and be like, this is amazing, this is incredible.
The way that Flat Earth wins...
Then, as much as I hate to admit it, perfectly reasonable sentiment from Whitsitt.
No, it's reasonable sentiment, but coming from him.
I disagree with that.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah.
Go ahead. Q, I feel like we both are like, what the? Because he's a freaking hypocrite. Yeah.
Yeah, go ahead. You're saying he's a hypocrite. Hold on, Jim.
I second that statement. That he's totally he's a walking contradiction. Okay, because he's talking about how great God's creation is, and then he's lying about it. It's words fail me, but I agree with what Eli just said.
In isolation, it's perfectly reasonable, though, isn't it? And we're looking at it from the view of Catz, who's hacked this together for his own ends. But so far, no response to Mark, no response to Whitsitt, because in isolation, they're reasonable statements, aren't they not?
But what I'm pointing out is, though they're reasonable statements, he's done everything but that, because the scientific method has limitations, and because of these limitations, he's tried to find a way out. He's not respecting what he's saying.
Is by you being brave enough to just put yourself out there, to have conversations with your friends and family, to try and push this narrative forward. That's what the mind.
What narrative would that be that you want to push forward on your friends and family, that you need to be brave to approach? I don't need any brave pills to approach my friends and family. But if I'm pushing a narrative, then maybe I do need brave pills. What narrative is he babbling about?
Mindset needs to shift to at this.
Again, Brian?
Domes and ice walls.
You reckon?
Well, yeah. Well, this is the thing. This is the narrative. Because he called it a narrative because he said he knew he was the narrative. He can't prove domes and ice walls. I could do a far better job of actually giving an argument to an ice wall and a dome than all of these people promoting that. But yet I can't claim an ice wall and a dome because I don't know. So it can only be a narrative. If you don't know, it can only be a narrative.
This point, knowing that you have truth on your side and you have the creator on your side when you do that. As far as, you know, who created this place and where are we and who are we, but those were the things that the flat side can help you answer. They ask us, like, why?
And we can, but that's not necessarily directly related to knowing Earth's flat. Now, I appreciate that earlier with Dan Pratt, I leaned into him saying, well, if you haven't just stumbled across that when you're in this subject, then my head hangs for you. And I'm echoing stuff that he didn't really say. I'm paraphrasing Dan Pratt. But ultimately, that's not what you're saying. You're talking about pushing narratives of ice walls and, I don't know, I feel a bit tenuous about doing this because I haven't actually heard DJ Curious doing that. But we can only assume that's the case, and I'm being reliably informed that's the case.
Why do you have so much peace, even though, quote unquote, you were wrong about the 24-hour sun?
Who was wrong?
Doesn't matter. It's trying to peek into the mind of the...
he's talking to his audience as a whole. Finally, the penny drops. Right. Your people were wrong. Yeah. Okay, yeah, gotcha.
Creator. And who are we to claim that we know exactly how this place works? Why not leave some wonder?
You did, though. Your whole side, as much as we tried to stop you and show where you were being, you know, disingenuous with your audiences by leading them astray with maps that weren't the real world, we were shouted down, disagreed with, told and justified why that wouldn't be the case for these people that are now being chastised for it by Catz. So, no, I mean, it's all well and good saying, oh, well, now that we know that we were wrong when we bullshitted about this map, that we could just say, oh, well, it's best that we don't know. No, you could have just figured it out rather than just leaning into some crap that you got given.
Yeah, for sure.
Now, I'm not suggesting that flat Earth is religious extremism. That would be going a little bit too far. But
no, heliocentrism is religious extremism. Anti-flat earthism is religious extremism. You're part of that, Catz. It's like fundamentalism when you deny things like second law of thermodynamics in order to hold your belief in a ball reified into existence based on flat Earth measurements. Go ahead, Kiwi.
Yeah, he's the religious one. You were right on top of that. Exactly. You're the religious one, Catz. You glue-sniffing fungus muncher. You can't prove anything that you're saying. You believe in it. It's the heliocentric ball-tard-spinning space monkey religion. Catz. Get it? Carry on.
Can I just say before you press play that you can only believe in a globe.
Yep.
You can never prove a globe. It can only be believed in, which means it must have a religious undertone because it is only a belief.
It's not an undertone. It's the whole thing. The whole thing is a religion. I just said it.
Well, wait. But with religion, though, and I just saw, I'm not smart enough to remember the terms that they use. With religion, it's not proposed as science, ultimately. So what we have here is pseudoscience. Is it religious? Yeah, but religion doesn't even, religion isn't even, the same thing, because people who are religious aren't proposing scientific evidence for their beliefs and their faith.
It certainly shares a lot of things in common with it. And when we have people that hold on to these extremely firm religious beliefs, then
like you.
Yeah, you can beat me to the mute button.
dismiss any science that doesn't gel with those beliefs, misrepresent the rest of the science.
What science? What science might that be, Catz? What natural science might that be, Holmes? That should be your next show.
That they think they can kind of squeeze into
Nathan,
whole.
1 second. Sorry, just pause a second. No, I want to jump on that point because this is a video from Catz in 2025. You can go back to 2015 and find the same things being said in videos concerning flat earthers in 2015. Now, we're all denying all the science for the globe or whatever, that type of sentiment, right? Where have they produced? Once again, he just throws it out there and doesn't state anything or produce anything. 10 years of not producing, just claims no support for 10 years.
This is the best photo.
To fill their belief out. and then take that ignorance and that confirmation bias and put it to huge audiences on YouTube, then you get people being dragged down the rabbit hole. And remember, it can lead to things like this.
I've gotten a lot of messages, so many messages this week, and it's kind of all over the board. I've got some people that...
So just taking the word of the cult leader again, reiterating, doubling down on the word of this cult leader that you've called him. Why would you trust that this is all true, Catz? Yeah? He's led a cult, according to you. So it's not that it's just words coming out of Jaren's mouth that have actually come from a marriage counselling session he's had, potentially completely unrelated to this subject. You'll just take it that what Jaren's saying, even though he's a proven bullshitter and a cult leader, according to you yourself, is actually directly related. You're just going to take this to affirm your bias, right? That seems a bit scummy, a bit disingenuous. It's okay to take the cult leader at his word when it affirms your bias, eh, Catz? How interesting.
That are claiming their life is over. Some people telling me I've left my wife or my husband.
During a marriage counselling session that was unrelated to Flat Earth.
And now I don't know what to do with myself. That
in a different counselling session unrelated to the subject. Let's see the messages. Let's see where they directly correlate their experience with the 24-hour sun with their life being at an end. Let's see that in black and white.
It's not easy to listen to.
Now, with that in mind, there is a very, very...
Listen to messages. Yeah, voice to text. Bit vague to call him on bullshit in that regard, but there we go.
Interesting debate coming up at the debate con that modern day...
I saw an interesting debate by a guy who spends his career getting punched in the face. You know, that kind of guy, boxer. And he absolutely annihilated you in debate, Catz, by asking you in excess of 20 times how you can have gas pressure without a container. You paraphrased it into pressurised gas. That was your rebuttal. And then you said you'd be right back and gave up your Catz channel to someone else called Toon, who then had 100 repetitions of a similar but not the same question on the same subject matter of Flat Earth and the sky vacuum for your heliocentric religion. In this case for you, Toon, it was for the Flat Earth measurements to affirm his sky vacuum-based religion. Yeah? So, yeah, we've seen some debates with you in them, Catz. Yeah? You got absolutely annihilated in intellectual debate by a Brummie boxer.
A debate are running. FTFE, or Fight the Flat Earth, is going to be debating a guy called Andrew Wilson. And Andrew Wilson has this belief that following religious doctrine makes people a better person. It's better for their ethics, it's better for their morals, and FTFE is going to be providing a counter-argument that actually using science and
right.
Second Nation.
Yeah, that'll be a problem.
Yeah. Just want to state that I don't know the full details of this debate con thing that's happening, but I did hear Fight the Flat Earth mention it when he was hosting Flatside in a debate this week. And I think he's going to New Jersey or something for this. So my point being is that this is a person who's been shown to be wrong. I've debated him myself 3 times. He's been shown to be completely wrong over the years. But because flat earthers kept keeping him relevant by continuing to keep on the circuit of debating him, now he's in a position where he's flying out to New Jersey or something to have some big public debate with some guy on whatever topic. And now he's become a relevant debater in the eyes of the world, or he's moving up.
Yeah,
so
I saw that.
He's basically... Do you know what I mean? It's like...
Yeah. I saw this guy called Brian's Logic validating him.
Yeah, but this is going back 6 years ago. I was debating him. The point being is that why I stopped debating people, and the same for Mitchell and Huey and others, right? 10th Man didn't want to debate people, was because what you're doing is you're keeping the cycle of BS alive. And what's have to happen over the years is you have a situation, you have people on the ball side making a living off of the backs of flat earthers. But basically not, and these people can't produce any evidence for what they say. All you have behind them is consensus. But yet you have people now moving up in the world off of the back of flat earthers continually giving them debates. Instead of some years ago stopping all debates, we're not debating you anymore. You've been shown to be wrong. You haven't produced anything. It's over, right? They didn't do that. They didn't. They continued on debating. And now we're in a situation where when we're going to debate someone on a bigger stage, it's going to be the McDowans and the Fight the Flat Earths and the conspiracy cats, as opposed to the Brian Coxes. Once again, they've eluded us. You see what's happening. This is what we didn't want happen. But flat earthers, no, they had to continue. People like Wixit couldn't stop giving them, you know what I mean? Couldn't stop. Had to make them relevant. Why? Now look, you have a situation where Fight the Flat Earthers going to be having this big thing with some guy about whatever. Like, why is he in that position? Because flat earthers put him there. That's why.
Yeah, true.
Yeah, there was an opportunity, but there was an opportunity for Neil deGrasse to come to the 24/7, but he was told not to come in here because they knew he would have had his ass handed to him. That was about maybe 2017. Do you remember that?
Yeah, but the problem is, Jen, people like Neil deGrasse Tyson and Brian Cox and all these Michio Kakus and all these Sabine Hostelfelders, all these people, they've all gotten to avoid us. And now they're continuing because we kept on debating people that were in the way of, it's like you want to wrestle me, but Eli keeps on being there, so you have to wrestle Eli, and you keep on having to wrestle Eli, and you never get to wrestle me, because you keep on having to wrestle Eli.
So you're saying they're controlling these fights like Don King. That's what you're saying.
Oh, he's calling you Fight the Flat Earth.
Yeah. Well, the point being is that now Fight the Flat Earth and McDoon and other people are now in a position where they are a big debate. You understand what I mean? Whereas at one time they were no bigger of a debate than someone debating me or you, Eli, or anyone else. Whereas now they have the big channels, they're well known. Now they are in that position. And now nobody gets to the Brian Coxes. No, we can't get to the Brian Coxes. That's the problem. Well, they're the people we need to get there because they're the people that their whole consensus leans upon. So leave Brian Cox and me, or Brian Cox or any of us, in a debate. Then we'll see what he's got, and the whole world can see it. But no, that won't happen now. Because what you'll get, no matter how big the platform, you're going to get Fight the Flat Earth, McDown, whoever. That's what you're going to get. Because there's a whole financial industry being built off of the back of this. We're not getting any of the financial rewards on the flat Earth side. It's our blood, sweat, and tears that has been used to prop up and give financial rewards and give public renown to people who didn't deserve it, but did they have it?
Yeah, I agree, but
Right
you're kind
over.
of being a bit glass half empty, where I'm kind of more glass half full in this regard. Yeah, you plod through. You can always appeal to how someone else has fared better, and the easiest people to point at in that regard is anti-flat earthers. Every ounce of effort we've put in has been directly monetized by YouTube's algorithm in their favor. You're right.
Well, would you consider Fight the Flat Earth a good debate? I wouldn't. And the reason I wouldn't is because he's willing to lie, he's willing to not concede, he's willing to do all kinds of stuff just to get to the end of the debate. So I wouldn't consider him a good person to debate for that reason, because it's not going to be an honest debate. It's not going to be about what you can prove and can't prove. It's not going to be what is and is not reality. It's going to be about how you can deal with the tactics of someone who knows they don't have that to produce. That's all it's going to be.
Well, put your hand in front of your face. Is that your actual hand? Yes. No, it's not.
Logical, objective thinking will create a better human being. It's a fascinating debate, and I think it links into this topic really, really well. I've actually put a link to it in the description, and I've pinned the link in the comments. I would really urge anybody, if they can, to go and watch it, and it'll not be the first time I mention it. I'll be promoting that through a series of short videos between now and the debate. It is going to be in the middle of February, so plenty of time to bookmark it in your calendar. Other than that, I'm going to go. I will be back probably sooner than you think with a comments video. But until then, goodbye.
Yeah, go pick up cans alongside of the road, Catz. See ya, you glue sniffing numpty.
Right, that's it.
All right, let's get on with Vaxy Waxies.
Still there?
Huh?
I'm asking him if he's still there, Vaxy.
Yeah.
Where's the clip?
I sent one to Mush, and I think he posted it, and what you guys use, and I sent one to
Yeah, the
Q
video's in the
directly,
master B, yeah.
message. But
The video that Wacky shared is in master B, and the
representation maps,
timestamp
and
is
then
7
they have
hours and
errors.
47 minutes.
Whatever. The point is that curvature is a necessary condition of a sphere, and if there is no curvature, it can't be a sphere. That way you can know for certain, regardless of what the map is. Because the map is an abstraction, this is not.
Okay, sorry. I thought it was timestamped. It's not. So 9 hours, 28 minutes, right?
7 hours and 47 minutes, and then something else
9
takes
more
place.
hours.
7 hours.
Else takes
Okay,
place
I
in
got it.
9 hours.
Hold on.
Everybody
7
relax. Relax. Relax.
All right. Well, Donald, are you here?
What's the topic, dude?
Yes, I am here.
Pick a topic, Donald, about the Earth being a
The
globe.
only reason I volunteered to debate because I'm going to try to keep this on topic. That's going to be my goal. Is to keep you guys, whatever you're debating, I'm going to try and keep you guys from not jumping off of it and staying on it till we've reached its logical conclusion.
He's a referee, so that means that everybody else is gonna just be on mute. All right, so
I have no dog in this hunt other than it being coherent and on point, and that's it. I don't care one way or another.
Donald, do you have a topic for the Earth being a globe?
I mean, me and Vaxwax were having a conversation. He wanted me to.
You can do it verbally. That's what we're asking. What's your topic?
Sure. Is Vaxwax around?
Yeah, he's here. What's your topic, Donald?
I'd like to make sure that Vaxwax can respond.
Here. Vax is here.
I'm right here, bro. Hello, everybody.
Just pick a topic.
In the red corner. In chat, we were talking about what were we talking about in chat? You were gun shy about talking about what?
Well, you want me to ask Vax? Maybe he'll pick a topic.
Method. That's what
Vax, do you want to pick a topic and then just?
Oh, I have the choice? No way.
Yeah,
okay.
because Donald didn't want to do it, so you pick.
All right.
Oh no, that's not what I said. So I was just talking about. I was trying to find about what we. So Vaxwax said, "Okay, I challenge you to debate."
This is what's wrong with discourse. Okay. Here's just a shining example. Thank you.
This is what's wrong. Substantiate what you mean. Just expand on it a bit so I understand what you...
What is going on there? Who is debating who? And you know what I mean? Well, you choose. You choose. Maybe no, you choose. You choose. Nobody just
see. This is what we have to deal with. That's why we get freaking frustrated. So India's trying to keep.
That's why I can't be in there, really. That's why I don't go in there. Sorry.
I was just trying to figure out what it was.
Yeah, me too. That's why I'm asking the question. What is it about?
Well, I mean, if it's multiple choice, I mean, you want to talk about Coriolis, you want to talk about latitude, you want to talk about how the Earth measures flat, you want to talk about second law of thermodynamics.
I'd like to talk about how the Earth measures flat. Can you show me?
Yes.
Show me.
I've been wanting to talk about this the whole night.
My job is cut out for me, man.
All right.
Can you
All right, go ahead, Donald.
Can you show me a measurement of the Earth being flat?
It's called latitude.
Latitude shows the Earth being curved.
No, it doesn't.
It does.
Okay, well, support your claim.
I'll go on mute.
So at the North Pole and the South Pole, the latitude lines converge. That would only happen on a globe.
Straight up circular reasoning. Poles, poles assumes globe, therefore globe. That's straight up circular reasoning. Begging the question.
Yep.
Oh, he's getting confused. He's also getting confused between latitude and longitude.
Yeah, latitude. Yep.
Would you read more? Sorry, latitude and longitude.
Yeah. He's getting confused between the two. He's a moron.
Latitude based off of?
Latitude is based off of a two-dimensional coordinate system.
Boom.
Yeah. It's over.
Welcome to Flat Earth.
Yeah. Over.
I didn't catch
How
that.
is
Latitude derived? I guess I should rephrase my question.
From the circumference of the Earth.
God, that's like the third person who said that. Where did you guys get that? Sorry, I'm not already. Never mind.
Because kilometers are defined as the distance, a particular ratio of the distance from the North Pole to the South Pole of the Earth.
If you're, is it okay for me to talk? Okay.
Yeah, I mean, I'm only going to moderate if it gets out of control.
Oh no, that's fair. I just every time I can't finish a sentence for the past 2 hours without being instantly muted. So, but anyway, so if you were at 45 degrees latitude, what will your elevation angle to Polaris be?
Pause, Nathan. He just said a minute ago when asked by Vax, he said, when you asked him, how was latitude derived? Now, I know you missed the point with the 2 dimensions, but then he said, you asked him, how was latitude derived? And he said, by the circumference of the Earth. No, that's where they got their circumference from. So, and then he talked about kilometers, which are linear, straight line measurements, just like miles, nautical miles. None of these things are, as an origin, none of these things, and when used with the latitude and longitude system, none of these units of measure, and no unit of measure is, if you're talking about distances on longitude lines, are an arc length of any kind. So when he said circumference, he was instantly begging the question. So you should, even if you missed the 2-dimensional point, when he said circumference, he said, no, that's where your circumference came from. You know what I mean? You're not listening to what he's saying.
It sounded like he couldn't hear because of breakup or someone interrupting because he did specific Vaxi. I know you were sorry to talk in the third person, but it sounded like he just didn't hear it. So when we said, because we heard it clear as crystal, welcome to Flat Earth, it just didn't seem like Vaxi got that.
No, the whole stream was real choppy, and I'd be in the middle of a sentence and then realize I was muted for 3/4 of my sentence, and it was a mess. And it was 3 o'clock in the morning. I had 5 beers. I wasn't very good. and clearly this guy, I didn't realize how inebriated this guy was because when I was listening back to it, it sounds like he's in slow motion.
Sounds like
I think
sounds like a bit of training's needed over there, boys. Eh? Keeping your shit together whilst drinking. See, it's harder than you think, isn't it? Hey?
Now, just while drinking, not keeping your shit together. You don't have that covered yet.
it would be 45 degrees, but I'm not sure. But I don't have to know.
What I did like was the very housekeeping-esque question that you put to him in terms of if you've got this degree as it measured. It's clue is in the question because you've answered it for him with the degree that you put to him.
No, that's correct. You were spot on. It would be 45 degrees. If you were at 78 degrees latitude, what would your elevation angle to Polaris be?
78 degrees. Wait, no, it's after the equator. Wait,
no.
Okay, yeah, you're right.
Well, 78 degrees is not after the equator, dude. That's
sorry.
78 degrees. That's
I'm
Helsinki.
tired.
Come on.
Yeah, I misspoke. I apologize.
No, it's fine, man. It's no big deal. I mean, dude.
Man, what is with the epilepsy-inducing map video that's going on in the background that someone's posted? Bloody hell.
like this all just like the penny just dropped with me about this whole topic about a year ago, so it's fine.
Sure.
Okay, if you are at 51 degrees latitude, no, I think London is 53 degrees. If you're at 53 degrees latitude, what would your elevation angle to Polaris be?
I mean, we have to talk about elevation angle. You said that a couple of times. So you're just basically talking about, from the distance.
Go on, Adam. I'll go after you.
Well, is this a pub quiz? Yeah. There was a senator the other day being put into Trump's and answering questions. And one of the idiot Democrats goes, just outline this part of law. He says, I'm sorry, I didn't come here to do your homework for you. This is part of the trouble, that people think to try and hold somebody to a factoid proves their point. It doesn't. It just means you can't make yours. All you can do is ask your opponent questions.
Yeah, and I must say to Vaxi, if you say 51 degrees, you must state north or south, because there's a 51 degrees south. So
well, yeah, but you're going to take a 51 degree latitude to Polaris in the south, dude. So it's kind of self-explanatory.
But you didn't specifically say Polaris. You said 51 degrees or 78 degrees. You didn't add in 2 Polaris north of the equator. These little things, it might seem like nothing, but they're the little things you can be attacked on.
Fair enough.
I'm just being honest with you. Like these are the little small things that they will attack you on. So when the guy said,
"We got it," can we continue?
Yeah. Go on.
Distance of the horizon to the star, right?
If you are at 1 degrees latitude, what would your elevation angle to Polaris be?
1 degree.
And what is the equator?
The equator is the center of rotation of the globe.
0 degrees.
0 degrees is different from the equator.
Citation?
Oh the equator is 90.
So have we got a QE, as you said? We've all got it.
Huh?
Clearly not. I'm going to have to round out, I'm afraid, gentlemen. So with that, I'm going to say a huge, massive, enormous thank you to both Discord and G+ panels for making today's after show possible. And of course, a massive thank you to all of you for liking, commenting, sharing, subscribing, joining as a Nathan Oakley 1980 channel member, and all that good stuff. I've been Nathan Oakley, and I will see you all in the next video.